Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Give to Messi, now to Bridges, nearly lost it, back to Dennis for three. It's good! 10th made three tonight. Ray J. Dennis knocks it down. Baylor, the first team in 49 conference games to hit 10 or more threes against Oklahoma.
5-point lead, clock dwindling down. Let's be smart.
Up top, Santos being overplayed by Clark. Finds Holmes down low, seals off, lays it in.
Great finish, great
64-57, Dayton by 7, 4:15 to go. That's their biggest lead of the game.
10 on the shot clock, 55 of the game clock. Hepburn and Klesma just playing catch. Here's Chucky for three, right side. Good night, Chucky Hepburn with the triple 11-point lead, Wisconsin. That's the closer Badger fans know and love.
Cross-court Shireman into the corner. Trey, another three. He's perfect. Holy cow. Trey Alexander. 5 points, bank, three-pointer, 64-45.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm Ravi Lulla. DB here with me. What's up?
3 days in a row.
Hey.
Are we trending?
We're doing it. I think three's the trend, right?
Yep.
Once is a fluke, twice is a coincidence, three's a trend.
Fluke, trend.
Okay. Wait, coincidence happens before fluke?
I don't know.
I think fluke should happen before coincidence.
I used to say it all the time, and then all of a sudden I
stopped.
But yeah, kind of got away from me.
You know what I noticed today?
We're trending, though. What's that?
You're wearing Nebraska gear.
I know, right?
You almost never wear Nebraska gear off the broadcast.
It's unbelievable.
Look at you. You're a changed man.
Yeah. Yeah, like we probably shouldn't have brought that up.
What, that you're wearing gear?
Yeah.
Why?
Although people can see me, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're on camera, so
you're on Kendeigh. Yeah, so I'm in on the Nebraska gear.
There you go.
It's okay to wear. It was always okay to wear.
You just had a thing.
Yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable about the self-promotion. Like I wasn't unnecessarily trying to draw attention to myself, so
I always thought you were overthinking that, if I'm being honest.
Well, that's probably the 2000th time somebody told me that. It's like, hey, should you do this? Should you do this? Oh, well, with your kid. Oh, man, hey, to be honest, man, I think you're overthinking it. Weird, you don't say.
No, I just mean with the gear specifically.
Yeah, but you know what? So,
because you don't look less like Damon Benning without a Nebraska shirt on. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. But I'm also,
like if somebody's gonna know who you are,
so for
they're
years,
gonna know with or without the end.
I'm just telling you, man.
Go ahead,
for years, I wanted people to know me and understand things about me for stuff other than Nebraska.
No, I get it.
So I didn't self-promote.
I get that. I'm just saying, if people are gonna know who you are,
but now it's not it's bigger than me. So
yeah, well, obviously Caleb's going, and
a guy sit next to a guy. Bless his heart. Last night we were at Mon North, and I'm in the very far corner. I have familiar places where I sit, right,
and it's almost always a corner,
right. Couldn't get anybody, to my right or to my left. But actually, you could, but the aisle split us. And this older guy, bless his heart, he has a little grandson with him, and just wanted to ask me a lot of football questions, and I was probably, like, in hindsight, like if I was watching me, probably wasn't the most engaging.
Sure,
I occasionally made eye contact. I'm probably more talking across the aisle, and at the very end, he goes. I don't know, this was after like 5 questions. Like we asked about Raiola and Thomas. And I mean, he's obviously a big fan.
Yeah, knows what he's talking about.
And he says, gotta say, now Caleb did just made a 3 or something like that, or some weird play made. I gotta say, he's gonna be better than you are. It's the only time I kind of looked at him and I was like, yeah, that's kind of what you want as a parent. I'm good with it.
That's such like a such an out of pocket thing to say to somebody.
Dude, it was hilarious. And I agree with it.
He's
though,
gonna,
right?
But it's still wild.
It is. It was just his delivery too. It was funny.
Oh, he's gonna be better than you are.
And across the ring, across the gymnasium.
Yeah.
Nobody really texts during games. But so I don't really pay attention to my phone unless I'm watching scores. And I had to set my library for Creighton in North Carolina. And I get this text and it says, "You're looking awful comfortable over there, just kind of relaxing." I looked at it and it was Tyson Terry. So, because we're at North, right? So it's kind of like old homecoming week, and I said, "Where are you sitting?" And right as I hit send, I should have known because his reply was, I got my white tracksuit on in the middle on the north side. He's like NORF, with a smiley face. So I kind of took a quick peek, and there's this massive individual in a white zip up, white pants. It's Adidas. Like you couldn't miss him if I was paying attention.
And you're wearing all white.
No, I'm serious. So one of the few people, and it was cool because the whole family was over there, like David O'Neill and the side, like just good people were over there. I went over there to say hello, and this was during the game, which is even more rare. Actually, it was halftime.
Hello, friend.
Hello. So I gave him a hug, and I was mortified. I'm like, in my head, we laughed and yucked it up. We talked about a lot of things. North's got a couple new players, and I just put my arms around him. I'm like, you're a huge individual.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
No, like you have to like see it.
Yeah,
like just get like Nebraska is getting a good one. Yeah, and I hope. I don't know. I know. Listen, I've heard all conference caliber offensive linemen potentially. It could be a great center or a great guard. He's never loved playing O-line. I hope that he flourishes along the defensive line because that's what he's really, and they'll give him a chance. I mean, you get to start out doing what you want, and they'll probably
move you if
they have to.
Move where they need you to.
He is. I thought about that the whole way home. I got in the car and I sat on this for like a half, or for a while, and I got in the car. I said to Caleb, I go, man, I said, Tyson Terry is a monster.
Yeah.
And Ding Dong in the back seat. All he could say was, "Man, I love that guy." I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I know you guys are boys, but I saw Donovan Jones up close, who has definitely spent time in the weight room.
Yeah.
Like
he's a lot of people think of him as like kind of a sleeper in this class.
See, I love him probably more as a person.
Yeah.
But I'm on the I'm on the D Jones hype train
for sure.
Remember, I put him on one of my 3 sleepers.
You did.
Could I get 3?
Can I do a Super 6 and then do 12?
Hey,
more
his little brother's gonna be nice too.
TK in the chat.
They look just alike.
TK in the chat says Tyson Terry. How did you miss Tyson Terry in that gym?
Oh, dead serious. He looked like a fit snowman.
Fits like,
well, he's the only one in all white.
Yeah,
but you gotta know, first of all, I wasn't trying to be like, I spent 9 years in that building. Right. So, so it wasn't like old home week, right?
Yeah.
You didn't want it to be. You got a game to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I went early because I like to watch the ladies play. My cousin plays for the girls team or for West Side, and so I wasn't like overly social. I had to go talk to Coach Martin for a while, and he's still one of the best people on the planet. But he is. I was, and we opened with them.
Yeah,
How about that?
Oh wow. I don't know Coach Martin. Obviously not like you do. I've only interacted with him a couple times on the air. One of my favorite high school coaches that we talked to.
He's a great person.
Is Coach Martin.
Yeah, I go to bat for him.
For sure.
Good dude.
So you were at Omaha North last night. I was at Creighton Georgetown last night. Not exactly a barn burner.
Didn't seem like a lot of people were at Creighton Georgetown last night.
Well, they were early.
Yeah.
Because it was dollar beer night.
Right, I get it.
But by halftime, when it was a 19-point lead, a lot of people decided it was time to vacate. I'll be totally honest. I get up at 5:30 to do a morning show. I left with at the under 8.
Oh, did you?
In the second half because, I mean, as soon as Baylor Shireman got his triple-double, I was like, all right, I'm good here.
How about, so I'm watching it this morning and late into last night where depending on what your clock allows you to, whatever your body clock says.
Yeah.
So I went back after watching the majority of that. I'm like, wait a minute. Did the majority of his misses come behind the arc? Because I
Yes.
think he's shooting 50%.
He
7 of his 8 misses were from behind the arc.
I think he was 1 for
2 of 9.
2 for because he hit one later.
And he was 6 of 14 from the floor.
Yeah. He was
not
good.
Not that I committed that to memory.
He was good from the floor or from 2.
Would you have guessed there would have been a triple-double before that?
I knew, so I had already known this because this had happened a couple times where earlier
guys were chasing.
Yeah, earlier this year, Baylor had gotten within like an assist or something. Trey was within an assist or a rebound earlier at one point this year. So I knew that outside of there had not been a traditional triple-double. So when we say that, it's points, rebounds, assists, right? But Benjamin had a ton with blocks.
Yeah.
Like he had a bunch of triple-doubles with blocks. But nobody in 104 years of Creighton basketball had ever had one. Points, rebounds, assists. It kind of makes sense that Shireman with his skill set, right? Like he's a big guy.
And statistically, what he's accomplished over his career fits right in with who he's been.
I mean, during the game or before the game, they announced the 2,000 point, 1,000 rebound, 500 assists, 300 threes, I think was the categories. The only person in men's college basketball history to do that. And
isn't that special?
And so it kind of like fits the whole, stat sheet stuff.
Yes, sir.
Although our guy Jacob Padilla and I were kind of sitting there.
Did you get Jacob to come up and help me?
I told him he needs to.
I'm gonna call. So what should we give him? Maybe till 8.
Oh, I mean, I'd go 9 at least.
Why?
He sleeps in.
Again.
Well, okay. So he was up last night watching the game. Then he does his story. Then he does a post game pod.
They held off the Kings, right? Didn't they end up getting the dub?
Yeah, the Phoenix did.
Yeah. So he should have had.
He should be in a good mood.
Yeah, sugar plum fairies.
But
you think he gets to rim?
Oh, I don't know. He seems like one of those guys that's never like a deep sleeper.
Who just wakes up and regurgitates stats.
He's just ready to go. He's just ready to watch more basketball. No, but we were talking about when they were and we're like, listen, it's an incredible accomplishment by Baylor, right? It's like if you put enough qualifiers on something, everybody can be the first ever to do something.
Aw, are you kind of low-key diminishing it, or what are we
No,
doing?
I just think it's kind of funny. Like, they're all legitimate stats, right? But sometimes you kind of, like on TV broadcasts, they do this a lot, where they're like, hey, he's the first.
Between 12:01 p.m. and 2:46 p.m.
If you put enough qualifiers
on Tuesday, January 9th.
Like I told him, I'm probably the highest scoring, under 6 foot tall, diabetic Indian college basketball player at any level of all time.
That's tough.
Probably. Right? Like you put enough qualifiers on it.
Does diabetes run rampant in the Indian population?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Maybe that could be it.
And if I need to, I could throw on the type 1 instead of, just in case.
Hey, can you help me get my hands on some Ozempic, or is that frowned upon?
I mean, I could tell you what doctors to go to.
I kid because I care. I know it's a craze that swept the nation.
Listen, you're just trying to get that Kardashian body. I get it.
So was that really her with the black hat on entering the arena the other day? Because she never looked up.
I have no idea.
Oh, you're not a pop culture guy either.
No, I am. I just didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably a good thing.
Well, I did see people freaking out about Megan Fox yesterday.
What was that about?
Well, she just looks a lot different now than
a lot of good docs, not good genes.
We'll see. I don't know.
It's
not hating.
Yeah.
It's not for me, but
2nd and 5, maybe 2nd and 4.
Yeah. I used to be a big fan. I was like Transformers days. I was a big fan.
Was that pre any?
I think so.
Like, okay.
Because she was pretty. I mean, I think she was like early 20s then.
Yeah, I was not really a Transformers guy for a guy that loved the toys.
And I didn't care about. I liked the toys, but I never watched the cartoons or anything.
Hey, Liquid,
but I was big into that movie.
What's the term I'm looking for how they used to make what were the Matchbox cars and Transformers made out of?
Diecast.
Thank you.
Yep.
I didn't know you were old enough. Did they have diecast stuff when you were a kid?
I think when I was really young, but I just remember things.
Yeah, we were diecast kids, right, Shane?
The Hot Wheels are diecast, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
they were made better.
That and lead and paint.
Well, that was not made better. No, you don't want that.
No, I'm just talking about what kind of kids we are. You
The-
wonder what's going on in our medulla oblongata. It is.
I am after the lead paint era. That's more you guys.
Though I
Bless
wasn't,
your heart.
I wasn't as lucky as like maybe you, Damon, because my Transformers, they were plastic. They weren't die cast.
Really?
Yeah, they were cheap knockoffs.
I waited for Coach Huffman to get all the good toys, and then I'd play with his stuff.
And then you're like, hey, I'm just gonna borrow this real quick.
Man, dude had like the Millennium Falcon. And,
Oh, he had the good stuff.
oh yeah.
You know what?
So the one thing that I did have, I was a big He-Man guy. So
I knew this about you. That you
so
were
I
big into
had
He-Man.
I had Castle Grayskull, and I collected the action figures.
I wanted more than anything in the world when I was a kid. There was like this Power Ranger sword.
I'm not a Power Rangers guy.
I was when I was a kid.
Thought it was kind of weird.
Well, you were too old by that point.
I just didn't get the whole Cirque du Soleil and rainbow gear.
I mean, listen, I was a big Green Ranger guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Well, listen, it was right in my wheelhouse timeline wise.
So back to the triple doubles.
We are
and qualifiers.
I mean, it's just a little funny, right? Like if you put enough qualifiers on anything.
No, it was a bad night because you know what you didn't need a qualifier on?
What's that?
Losing 3 out of your last 5 and let Syracuse get their first win against an AP top 10 team.
I saw that. So
since 19.
So I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter and stuff and paying attention because like Indiana State got knocked off yesterday, which basically screwed their at-large bid.
Our guy was with the goggles,
Richie Avila. If I was like good at basketball, that's how I imagine I would have looked on a D1 stage.
Yeah,
just kind of like that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I wore rec specs, so I get no.
Did
hate.
you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any.
I used to think I was Eric Dickerson.
I mean, you're closer to Eric Dickerson than I was to Richie Avila. So.
I was like 5'4". Nothing about me that was E-Dick. Okay. Well, not exactly a long strider.
Didn't have that real upright running style.
No.
Did you get a? Never mind. I'm not going to ask that question. I don't want to know. It's about to make an SMU joke there.
Pony Express, baby.
I just
Pony Excess. That
one
was
of the best 30 for 30s.
That was legit.
I love that.
I'll take it.
I've been obsessed with SMU, that whole thing, since I was a kid.
Yeah, my favorite was probably the best that never was.
Oh yeah, Marcus Dupree. That was
because we met him when he was in Omaha.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah, I'm a big Marcus Dupree guy.
The Marcus Dupree one was good. The first,
and I get it.
Miami one was really good.
The whole not really loving the game, just being good at it.
Yeah.
I think that caught people. Bo Pelini was the first one that turned people on to that, really, because he occasionally would say he'd be recruiting guys or guys would be playing, and he'd say, he really loves the game, loves to play,
and we make that assumption, right?
and I'm like, well, why do why do people keep saying that? Like, what else do you do?
But you can tell the difference when, like, as a coach. You can tell the difference way more than fans can, right? Because you see the work they have to put in every day and neither the work they do or don't put in every day. Because everybody loves games, right? If you play, you probably love the actual playing of a game. It is the process to get to that game. That's how you know Tom Brady loved football. Because until he was 45 years old and 2 families later, he loved football more than he loved doing anything else. He was in his my area were not real high-level athletes, it makes them so mad because
you think, oh, man, if I had one tenth of that talent,
I would. They think they're wasting something, right? And maybe they are, but it's theirs to waste, also, right? They don't owe you anything, so it's frustrating sometimes. I think about it at a higher level, right? Guys that make the NBA, but sort of, I get mad at Luka Doncic for this. Because obviously he's having a huge early part of his career, really, really talented, really, really productive. But I get mad because he has the skill set to play the game in a special way, and he's chosen it to play like James Harden. That makes me mad.
No, I don't see. Why would you use him as the example? You had me up until the special. He's not an elite level jumper.
No, skills. Skills,
Okay.
not physical.
So you're talking about, but again,
yeah,
you can develop skills.
You can.
So,
but not everyone does.
You can go get that. So why are you mad at him for? Like, I would be mad at him for like not wanting to be in the gym or not wanting to be more fit, or like the skills that he has. He's obviously developed to play the game at a high level. He's not cheating it that way.
No, he's not cheating it that way, but
because he's defying the odds physically.
No, for sure. Absolutely. Although he's like 6'9", which helps.
Okay.
I mean, it does. If he was 6'2", he's not in the NBA.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are over 6'5" that can't play dead.
I understand that. I understand that. But the height helps.
Like 99.9% of the people that are 6'5" can't play dead.
Probably more than that, actually. But no, what makes me mad,
I wanted to give myself some wiggle room.
What makes me mad is not the fact that he's cheating that he's leaving something on the table in terms of not maximizing his ability. What makes me mad about him is I think he's cheating us of a more beautiful product.
He's pretty good.
He is pretty good. It's not that fun to watch.
And I'm not a Luka guy, so.
Oh, he's really good. It is not that fun to watch.
Yeah.
James Harden was really good, was not that fun to watch. That's the difference. Steph Curry, super fun to watch.
Oh, get out of here. On Valentine's Day, the most commercial-made holiday ever. You get a Steph Curry reference in the first 21 minutes.
Absolutely.
Good on you.
Listen, it's about stuff we love today. Steph Curry, love that, man. I want to set up the show.
Shane, what game show was that where the guy said circle gets a square?
That's Hollywood Squares.
I should have probably done that. You're 2 for 2 with me deferring to Shane.
Well, yeah, I'm a little offended here that you're just
okay. So should I just? You are old. You are older than you really are in terms of your mind, like your recall. So I probably should defer more.
I mean,
but you're not a pop culture guy, really, are you?
No, I am.
Okay.
I'm like big into TV, movies, music.
Yeah, I forgot. You like a lot of bad movies. They make me feel bad. I'm not watching them.
Nobody can do
I
that.
want joy.
I like them. I'm not saying they're good. Like, I can recognize the difference between something enjoyable and something good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, The Joker was a good movie. It was not an enjoyable movie to watch.
Did you watch The Batman?
I did. I didn't think that was good or enjoyable.
Oh, my gosh.
I have real plot issues with The Batman.
Okay,
we'll get to that.
I'm going to stay because I'm pot committed now. But
you and me both, brother.
It's like I'm contemplating having to get my little narrow behind on up and back.
I'm just saying.
Who says that?
If you were on that Ozempic, that behind would be even narrower.
Hook a brother up, man. HBU.
I don't like have a stockpile, man.
Do you know people? No, so what I was gonna say on this commercially made holiday, a day of hearts gets 2 squares.
No big deal.
That would be us.
We've got
Circle gets a square. What
coming
show is
up,
that? I don't know, Hollywood Squares.
Listen, I know a lot.
I probably should have understood that.
I know a little about a lot. All right,
just enough to make it dangerous.
Exactly.
Ew.
We've got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7, coming up at 8. Andy Kendeigh from KETV coming up at 8:30, and our very own Anna Bellinghausen from Hurrdat Sports coming up at 8:43. At 9 o'clock, we're gonna do a Who Do You Love? Our favorite random athletes, and by random, I mean no all-stars allowed of all time.
Okay, I got you.
That's coming up at 9. We're also going to wrap up some Super Bowl questions. I got burning a hole in my pocket for DB.
Yeah, we got to talk a little Jordy Ball, too.
We do got to talk a little Jordy Ball. All that coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's DB. We got Shane Schilberg producing for us as well. I want to tell you about our friends at the Team Jack Foundation. The 11th annual Team Jack Gala presented by Fat Brain Toys is coming up on February 24th in Lincoln. The event will feature Bryant Young, Pro Football Hall of Famer, as the keynote speaker. Bryant Young was a dominant force for Notre Dame and then played 14 seasons with my San Francisco 49ers. Bryant's son, Colby, passed away from brain cancer at just 15 years old. So he understands firsthand what families affected by childhood brain cancer have to undergo. Visit teamjackfoundation.org to get involved. You can find out more about the event. You can make donations directly on the website. That's teamjackfoundation.org.
Why are you tugging at my heartstrings so early?
I know. Listen,
you did it to me yesterday.
It's not my fault, man. We love Team Jack. We got to tell people about it.
I understand.
I know it hit you in the feels.
And they do such a good job.
They do. And, I mean, I was a big Bryant Young guy, too. I remember. I was a big Bryant Young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a huge Bryant Young fan.
I don't know.
Those mid-'90s, late-'90s Niners.
I don't know if Jill would or Byron, my brother and sister-in-law would, let you come see Lennox.
Yeah.
But you have, she has these huge blue eyes. And she's kind of tough, for 14 months.
Yeah.
I think she's December 18, 19, somewhere right around there. And you'd be encouraged. I'm trying to I've got a couple of items. They're doing a music bingo event to fundraise
for sure.
in March. And so I have some secret good gifts, but I'm wondering if you reach a point of diminishing returns where you don't tell people ahead of time what they can get.
Yeah. Kind of got to surprise them a little bit.
But then you want people to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, come with the checkbooks ready.
Natalie and Brulia, I'm torn. So I have a
nobody uses checkbooks of those things anymore, right? You got like a Venmo QR code or something.
Yes.
Never mind. You can't even say.
Yeah, who are you talking to? I just realized I have a QR code thing on my phone 6 months ago. And it was because I was going to Little King and I was like, what is this deal?
Yeah.
And I gave my phone to the dude inside at Little King and he set it up for me.
That's the most DB thing I've ever heard in my life. I can see, because you do that to me when you're like, hey, figure this out.
Yeah, and I'll do, right?
You go get the iPad in the morning and you're like, hey, turn the TVs on.
Listen.
I can just see you handing this 17-year-old Little King's employee your phone and be like, hey, do it for me.
Dude could have disappeared, ran off.
By the way,
had some amazing contacts in his phone, and I would have been like, I just wanted the QR code.
But did you do the QR code?
Look. I was at the grocery store the other day, and I've known this I'm in there quite a bit.
Yeah.
And she's one of the nicest people in the world. And they have a couple of really huge fans. So the first 6 months I was going in there, nobody really said anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go to off-brand hours.
Yeah.
Right. You have a weird job or whatever. And
this job weird? No.
So my hands were full and I was at the self-checkout and I was trying to type in cilantro. And of course, that's the bad thing about self-checkout. It can be a little
cumbersome.
Good word.
Yeah.
Good word. So my hands were full. So I set my wallet down where you're supposed to put the baggage deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lady comes over and helps me, and she's busy telling me her whole life story. I know everything about this lady.
Yeah.
And I go, shoot. I said, should I do I said, my tap thing isn't working on the deal. And she said, well, just hit cash. And she said, do you have cash? And I said, yeah, I have some cash. And she goes, can I just grab it for you? So I said, yeah, go ahead. My wallet is right there. So she just opened my wallet and grabbed me a 20 and counted out 4 ones. I've known this lady my whole life. You know what I mean? So at some point it's going to come back and bite me.
It certainly
but
is.
I needed help. So I felt vulnerable. Stop taking advantage of the vulnerable, Ravi.
I didn't do anything. I didn't steal your wallet. Speaking of which,
I don't carry one of those lousy things.
Speaking of which, Jacob, we do need you to come fix this tweet deck.
Yeah, man. Your boy is scrambled like eggs over here. It's what is going on? Numbnuts over here can't send me an email.
David, is it D-Bitting 21? Is this it? It said,
yeah, Shane, that's it. Why isn't the email coming through? Hey, Ravi, can you send me an email? weird. I get it.
It's true. We have a very efficient system of getting you the link every morning. That's okay. We got it done. I
have one question.
Yeah.
Since we're doing irrational loves later on.
Yeah.
I know you said they like he or she can't be like
an all-star.
All-stars?
That was my qualifier.
What if they have potential?
Oh, so like early on?
Yeah.
So that's fine. All of mine are old.
So
But
I have like one or two currents.
okay. No,
Like-
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Like Lenny Pinto.
Okay.
I have an irrational love for.
That's totally fair.
Now he could be really good.
Yeah.
He's kind of green in his career at Nebraska.
Yeah.
On the mat, but
no, that's fine.
So would he count?
I'm gonna be honest. If for a more, and this is not an insult, a more niche sport like wrestling, like a less mainstream sport.
But why'd you need the quantifier?
Because
I feel some type of way.
No, because it is a less mainstream sport. The standard is higher for what makes them random or not. Because most like Nash Hutmacher wouldn't be a random wrestler, right? Because he's from football and he's more famous than
my man Lenny Pinto would be.
Yes, because
he's
the mainstream is going to be less aware of Lenny than.
So I guess we won't talk about Lenny Pinto at 9 o'clock because
absolutely.
I kind of gave that away. I just wanted to know.
No, you can. I think
I gave you a random like Matt Kemp, and you like looked up that he was an all-star and said I couldn't use him. Who fawns over Matt Kemp other than Rihanna from like 2006?
All I'm saying is, as soon as you said Matt Kemp, and then I looked it up to make sure, but as soon as you said Matt Kemp, I was like, oh no, he's too good to be random because he was really good for a minute.
Yeah, but that's fine. But it's not like he's on the lips of many.
Not anymore. He had a moment in Major League Baseball.
He let a fly ball bounce off his noggin. Like,
so did Jose Canseco. Not random.
Well, I'm just telling you, juice eventually erodes away at your brain.
Allegedly.
Note to all you kids out there out here cheating in high school. Not that I know of any.
Allegedly.
Just saying.
This is a hypothetical situation that DB is talking about here.
You can't have OJ or what?
Stick to sports.
Unfortunately, what is not a good situation is that Jordy Ball.
I'm so bummed.
That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
I mean, first game of the season. And, man, somebody sent me the video because I didn't see it.
So, full disclosure.
Yeah.
I know he comes up on this. I'm going to stop talking about him. But probably the most diehard of the Husker fans that I know because it covers all the sports. He likes softball. He'll watch anything. My man, Degenerate Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Schoening. So he's like, hey, Nebraska, Washington up here in a few. So of course I'm looking at all my ways to enjoy television, whether I'm gonna get it or not. Like, what do I have to do? Because sometimes you gotta circumvent the system.
Yeah.
And, Team VPN.
Whoa.
Just saying.
Whoa.
Oh, we got to check that betting out. I'm kidding, but not really.
No, he's not.
So anyway, when I watched it the first time, I thought I was praying it was a foot.
I
thought it. I was like, oh man, be a foot.
Like maybe she like rolled the ankle a little bit.
Yeah. How about a foot?
Because you could see that happening.
You have
where
237 trillion bones in your foot. How about a foot?
Right, and you're landing
trillion, maybe a little high.
A little high. Several dozen, I think. Couple dozen, maybe.
The majority of your bones are in your hands and feet.
Yeah, there's a lot of little tiny bones in there, and it's but you were kind of hoping, right, that maybe she just landed in kind of a soft spot on the mound, or like just a little bit of a wiggle in the foot, and kind of made her. But I'll be honest, when somebody sent me that video day it happened, I go, oh, that's an ACL.
Did you?
Immediately.
Yeah, well, note to self: we're going to stop watching sporting events together because
what
we're
did I
Mr.
do?
Doom and Gloom.
I mean, it's not doom and gloom if it's right.
Oh, you're watching Greenlaw and you're like, that's an Achilles.
No, I did. I tweeted that out in real time. I go, WTF? Did Greenlaw just tear his Achilles trying to run back on the field?
And for a guy that's watched it, it happened to Tony Veland one time, just going through a little demo drill for the Omaha Beef, and he snapped his Achilles. I'm like, he moved like 1 foot.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's it. Yeah.
Awkward.
Achilles are weird injuries.
Drink more water, kids.
Ooh. Coming up next, we'll wrap up hour number 1, and we'll probably talk a little bit about sports at some point here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number one here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You know, we were talking earlier about how Nebraska native Baylor Shireman had a triple-double for Creighton, but Omaha native Frankie Fiddler is in the top 20 in NCAA Division I scoring.
And he's getting his own commercials now.
And he's leading the Omaha Maverick men's basketball team in a run for the conference title. The Maverick men are at home against South Dakota on February 15th. That's tomorrow. And South Dakota State on February 17th. That's Saturday. Do not miss these epic matchups. Get your tickets now by calling the box office 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks. Let's pack the Baxter.
February 15th.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the day after today.
Okay.
Because today's the 14th.
I had my couple of moments. Okay. So let's just go ahead and move. How about Jed? I mean, he is something else. And it wasn't that bad. Like,
no, I didn't think it was that bad.
I think it was your response to circle gets a square, and you were like, Hollywood squares.
I mean, you were asking. I was just giving you the answer. I'm just trying to be helpful here, DB.
My man on the X said, can you tell us which game it is where you spin a wheel and you could win a fortune? Wow! It wasn't that bad, Jed.
The sarcasm from Jed just totally.
Dude, he oozes it too.
Totally unnecessary. How dare you, sir?
It's fine.
It's all right. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. I had some. You want to get to Tony White? Or you want to get Super Bowl questions?
So, flip a coin.
Let's do Tony White first.
Yeah. So I listened to a couple podcasts yesterday that were sent to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have what I call an informant.
Uh-oh.
No, he's a good dude. Like, and he listens to a ton of pods, and he's very connected to certain schools. So he sent me a couple of podcasts yesterday from the UCLA website, and the national perception of Tony White may be greater than the local perception of Tony White.
So people nationally think better of Tony White than people
UCLA people think better of Tony White
than nationally.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little surprising.
I think it is too.
Because I would have thought maybe the opposite. Because
especially since they've hired some bad. They've taken on some bad alums before.
Yeah.
Right?
And I really don't know about this Deshaun Foster hire. Like obviously Deshaun was a more prominent player at UCLA than Tony White was.
Yeah, and the guys were saying like UCLA hasn't hired a sitting head coach since Prothro, which was before Terry. Oh yeah, before Terry died.
Gap year.
Yeah.
I forgot about that because I knew he had that terrible year with the 49ers.
And apparently, so these guys on the pod that I was listening to were talking about some of the infrastructure and stuff that's wrong with
UCLA.
Yeah. And they're personally holding Chip Kelly responsible. But you go back and look at the wins and losses and kind of where they were headed.
Yeah. He seemed like they were going in the right direction.
I felt like he would be held in a little better regard, but apparently.
Because it took a minute, but he started getting them going.
He never embraced what is UCLA.
In what sense?
I think alienating staff, never really got NIL going.
So that's
didn't embrace the old tradition.
The NIL stuff and the transfer portal stuff, not transfer portal as much because he seemed like he was trying to be active there.
Yeah, but you've had Darrell, you've had Neuheisel. Like I would imagine they would be a little jaded over alums.
You would think.
But according to most, and I asked a couple of my guys in Carolina, like Deshaun, I was surprised, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, we did the resumes. We didn't have him on the radar.
But Deshaun Foster seems to be of impeccable character. But my guy said he did the math, because I said I still can't believe the Deshaun Foster hire. And he said, I should have brought my readers. But it's amazing statistically. He said retaining their chief of staff was kind of a key thing, and not having to pay assistants to 2-year contract buyouts definitely played in the decision to hire Foster. It had to. I did the math, and assistant coach buyouts would have been in the $7 to $8 million range. That seems
they're usually on 2-year deals. So if they're at the front end of that, you're having to pay out 2 years worth of salary. So that seems about right.
Correct. But you're left holding in the bag in February.
You are, but I'm also, just look at some of the buyouts that we've seen nationally. If you're quibbling over $7 or $8 million, and I get that's a lot of money, but in college football, it's not a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it can be a lot of money and also not be a lot of money.
I mean, even Maryland's paid buyouts, and they've been subsidized.
That's what I mean. Like I get that UCLA doesn't have any money, really. I get that they're in a weird financial spot right now. But if you're quibbling over $7 or $8 million and that's how you make your hiring decision, you probably made a bad decision. Or you may get lucky and have made a good decision, but you made it for a bad reason.
I thought physically looking at the teams coming in,
mm-hmm.
Now everything's changed with Washington.
Yes, totally different program.
Total wild card now.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect from them.
But I felt like Oregon and UCLA were best equipped.
Yeah,
with their style of play.
I thought Washington was interesting because they're more physical than they got credit for.
Yeah, although they were a little smoke and mirror up front on the offensive line.
They could be.
They got handled pretty good by Michigan.
They did, but everybody talked about how physical Oregon was, and they took care of Oregon twice.
Yeah, so I went back and watched the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Washington played at a high level on the perimeter against Oregon. Now, defensively, Washington was extremely physical.
Yeah, they held up.
Offensively,
not as much.
A little smoke and mirror.
Fair. But I will say,
not that I didn't have time to watch excess television.
I will say the idea of hiring a head coach because you don't have to fire assistant coaches and pay buyouts is bonkers to me. That's even if you made the right decision, that's a bad reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean, but you do realize like the other side of that though is, and let's not act like we weren't the butt of jokes for all the money we were paying for buyouts.
Sure.
How angry were people at Frost? It was the buyout money,
which I don't get.
What?
I don't get people being mad about the buyout money. I don't.
Okay.
All it says to me is you're willing to do what is necessary,
pay the cost to be the boss,
to try and win.
Okay,
right? I get it's a waste of money. I do, but at the same
not your pig, not your farm.
I would say, not my circus, not my monkeys. Like it's not my money. I don't care.
Right.
Unless I am.
It's February. What are we doing?
Talking about circuses.
I didn't think you could say that word anymore.
We ain't gonna make it.
You can't say monkey on the air. There's literally
you say whatever you want to, Ravi.
I mean, listen.
I think people would have a problem with circus.
Yeah, I didn't think you could say circus
anymore.
Right.
Tell him, Shane.
I'm just saying there was literally
move along, little doggy, move along.
I'm just saying there's literally a commercial during the Super Bowl
pushing
about an Indian guy called Monkey Man. So I think we're okay here.
John Wick?
No, it kind of was like Indian John Wick. That's what the movie looks like, honestly. I'm just saying. It's fine. It's an actual animal.
That movie does look pretty legit.
Oh, don't.
What do you want me to say? Not my circus, not my clowns? Is that better?
Don't encourage.
Not my circus, not my elephants? Not my circus, not my peanuts? Is that better? What are we doing here?
You mad?
Not my circus, not my trapeze artists?
You mad?
Oh. We good?
We're good. My bad.
Not my circus, not my cotton candy? What are we doing here?
I got a pickle.
Never mind.
Quit trying to get me in trouble.
Oh, you do just fine.
I don't even remember where. Buyouts.
Yeah.
I don't care about buyouts at all. It's like when people overpay in baseball. Care. It's not my money. What do I care about that? It's like when the Red Sox try and cry poverty, and that's why they trade Mookie Betts. It's like you print money. You own Liverpool and a Fenway team and a racing team and the Red Sox. Don't cry poverty to me. Pay the tax and sign Mookie Betts.
Are you mad?
Yes, I am still mad about Mookie Betts. It's been 5 years and I am not over it.
So, with regards to White,
pay the price to be good.
Did you feel? Are you buying that it's who the players wanted in Deshaun Foster? Because he appears to be.
Of course, he's who they know him.
But apparently, like now, I don't know. Right? The full disclosure, obviously, it's not like he and I shake hands and break bread, but he's fairly low key, right? Behind the scenes kind of guy.
Yes.
But I do assume he knows most of that donor base. You're going to have to kiss babies and shake hands, right?
Yeah. But listen, this job is UCLA. It's not Texas. Right? Like if you're the head coach of Texas, you basically have to be running for governor the whole time
you don't. Okay, maybe
it's a big I get it's part of every big job now.
It's Los Angeles now,
right? But it's not USC.
Well, USC can't be USC. What are we talking about? We keep saying that with Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we're missing something.
Well,
they get the benefit of the
Lincoln
doubt.
Riley is missing something, and it's called a defense of any kind.
Well, I mean, 05, 06 peak. That was a long time ago.
I understand that.
Okay.
Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams wasn't a long time ago.
What did he win?
I mean, listen, he won a butt kicking at the hands.
Yeah,
but
UCLA beat them.
I get that. Listen, I think USC is a better job than UCLA, though, and I also think it's a
100%
high profile job.
We just keep at some point it is what it is, and you are who you are.
I get that. I'm just saying it's not one of those.
Didn't we just have this conversation with?
It's not one of those
State
jobs
hoops
like
and
Bama
DePaul and
where you have to be basically the governor of the state to do well at that job.
No, I understand.
You have to have good relationships at any job, though.
By the way, did you see Terrence Shannon Jr. last night?
Coming up next.
Another 30 piece.
Coming up next, we got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer, Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a circus act.
Brian Christopherson.
Well, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
Brian Christopherson.
I kind of enjoy that.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
Welcome back. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Joining us now on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline is Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. BC, what's going on, man?
Not a lot. How you guys doing?
BC, long time no chat, man. I'm not going to put you on the hot seat so you hurt my feelings and say no, but did you miss me? No, I'm kidding. How you been, man?
I feel good. It feels good to hear your voice, Damon. It's it buoyed my spirits. I haven't even had a cup of coffee yet, but that was all I needed.
Let's go. Let's
got the blood pumping. He's ready.
so Ravi and we're trying not to kill each other over this whole buyout contract clause thing. And I was explaining to him, BC, like, you know, for him, and I get it, I'll let him explain more if he'd like, but he's like, listen, paying buyouts shows me you're committed to winning. Like, you're doing to take what's necessary. And this was on the heels of UCLA and their position and Tony White. And I told him this is still a lot of the same fan base that is upset at all the money that was going out of the window and doors for contracts here at Nebraska. Where do you think we lie as a fan base on buyouts and expenses?
It's always dangerous to speak for everybody. I think people don't like when it's just reckless, where you're reckless with your money over there. But I also think there's people like me, and I'm guessing Ravi I did hear a little bit of this segment, that sometimes are like, you know what, whatever you got to do, as long as your head's above water, I'm not overly worried about it. The one that really cracks me up actually is the worry about whether Nebraska's like paying their $7 million pool to their assistants or not. And there's like people kind of worry about it, and I'm like, who cares if you can secure the staff you want for like $5.6 million? Isn't that better than just giving money to give money? So, you don't want to be like foolish with how you're doing contracts and putting them together. And there might have been a stretch there where Nebraska fans thought there was a little bit of that going on, and maybe some extensions given a little earlier than they should have been in some cases that I think we all know about. And I think those are fair points for people to kind of question and say, yeah, was that really the best move that's ever been done around here? But for the most part, it feels like things are kind of back on track with that here. I didn't see everything with UCLA's buyout with their money situation there, but if it comes down to like $800,000 or $1 million or whatever, and the difference is between one coach and another, I'd be annoyed if that was the separating point for me getting the guy I really want. But I think they did get the guy they want. I don't know that they got the best guy. That's all.
Yeah, BC, I mean, basically my standpoint is just sort of, don't keep throwing good money after bad, right? Like, yes, the extensions were bad money, but what's the alternative? You just keep a coach because that's bad because you don't want to pay the buyout. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know what the alternative is there.
Yeah, I don't know. And by the way, I said get the guy they want. I think they got the guy the AD wants at UCLA. Our message board on 24/7 Sports for UCLA was very pro Tony White, for what it's worth. That was felt like 85 to 90% of the people on there wanted him. So I was watching that one closely, guys, all weekend, because there's a lot of sentiment for him from fans, at least, that thought he would be a great hire, and I tend to agree with them.
BC, do you think there's something said to being able to hire a sitting head coach, or is that overstated?
Oh, I think there's sometimes value if he's, has some proof of success with it. Sometimes if it's just a guy who's, been very middling. I think it leaves something to be desired. Like, I get it. Like, if we're talking about like a PJ Fleck, and maybe he's not everybody's cup of tea with his personality or whatever, but
definitely proven.
You can look at what he's done at Minnesota, and I think I go up to Minnesota quite a bit for stuff. I think he's kind of taken for granted sometimes. Like, I feel like there's a little bit of that Iowa State syndrome I've seen with them before, where like Dan McCarney back in the day built it up and then was a victim of his own success. And then I think Matt Campbell's ran into that a little bit recently too. I think some of that goes on in Minnesota, but anyway, like a guy like Fleck, I can see where, there'd be some reservations about like his personality, how it'd fit in that climate and stuff. But I would like the fact that he has actually built stuff up at multiple programs. That would be a case where a sitting head coach would be really, that piece of it would be appealing to me. But we've also seen examples now, I think, of guys, like who make the jump from coordinator to head coach, and it's pretty good early, like Lanning. And I mean, there's guys who pick this stuff up pretty fast, and if they've got the right traits for it, why stand in the way? And that's where I think Tony, when he does get his shot at it, I think he'll be successful, because I just think he's got that demeanor where he can stay even enough in dealing with all the outside pressures when he talks to the media and stuff like that. But also I know that he's got a commanding presence in the respect of all his defenders over there. So I think when you just listen to him and you watch him, he's got all this stuff, whether, he hasn't been a head coach yet, but at some point you got to make that jump. And I think he will do well when he does it.
We're talking to Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. BC, when I'm looking at the hiring of Deshaun Foster as opposed to a guy like Tony White, even if you can't land a sitting head coach, it seems like the opinion of the players played a huge factor in going with Deshaun Foster. I guess how much concern, and maybe concern is the right word because it's UCLA and you don't care if they're good or not, but I guess how concerned would you be if something
they are in the conference?
Yeah, that's fair. How concerned would you be if something like that happened at a school you were covering or a school you cared about, where the players currently on the team had what appears to be an outsized say in who ended up being their head coach?
Yeah, I'd be a little worried about it, honestly. I get it to some degree. You got to factor in their opinions, and if you've got a no-brainer hire like right there in front of you, sometimes you do go with that. But I'm
not sure a running backs coach qualifies as a no-brainer hire. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think so either. I think you got to look at a situation like they're in as if you have to burn a few things down the first year or two, so goes it, to look at it as like a 5-year type of deal. Now that's very difficult to convince people about in this day and age. That's the problem. That's the thing that's going to be an issue at a lot of places, is there are certain jobs that I think would take 4 to 6 years, honestly, to build it properly and get it where, you actually gave that head coach a fighting shot to build it the way it should be built and to get it to where you want it to be. But the problem is you're not going to get you're not going to get that time anymore. When I was a kid, there were, Damon will remember this, like there were coaches that lasted they weren't always great coaches or didn't build it, but I mean, they would last like 6, 7, 8 years sometimes at Big 8 schools that were really scuffling. They'd at least get a chance to do it their way. And nowadays, everything is like, okay, what after year 3, this is what's happened. It's over sort of feeling. So I think the AD at UCLA probably did get caught up in a lot of the sentiment of the players and his personal attachment on that one. And maybe it's going to end up being a great hire. I don't love it off the bat, but we'll see. He could prove everybody wrong, and he could just take off. And you know me, I'm just a huge Tony White fan. So I'm happy that Nebraska gets to keep him for another year and build this thing, because I think what Matt Rule said on his radio show last night is accurate. If Tony's here for another year or two, he's going to get a lot of cracks at things, because it's set up really to be very good on that side of the ball. I think where they're a top 10, top 15 defense the next couple of years. But you still got to go out and do it. And if he does, I think he'll get a job next year. I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't.
Wow. Ravi, Lulla, L2, and BC here for hating on running backs and coaches.
No, just guys, just position coaches who have not done anything else getting head coaching jobs. That's what I'm hating on.
BC, I'm learning in a hurry. Listening to the past week, and obviously having a good relationship with Coach White. The difference between being emotionally invested and being personally invested. I actually think they can be the same thing, but this time for me, they're not. My emotions are always I'm always emotionally invested in Nebraska. Now it's personal. And I'm thinking to myself, listening to you guys talk about kind of the relationships in players, I almost think we undersell that a little bit in terms of players, because I know right here in our very own backyard, the offensive line, like 99 percentile, was in favor of Donnie Raiola coaching them and coming back. That was important to Coach Rule, right? Whether Tony White was going to come back or not, like, I know that, like, that was important in our household with the player, from a player's standpoint. Like, so I can't wait to see kind of how it plays out over time between being emotionally invested, like as players, and, oh man, I really feel attached to this coach. That's enough to overcompensate for, like, let's say, a bad play call or some sort of scheme deficiency, versus, wow, this guy's proven. He's got a ton of know-how. He may not connect, but the regimen will get us by in the meantime with his experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a good point, especially with Donnie, from an assistant coach's perspective, because Rule mentioned that multiple times. Yeah, multiple times, where he's never had a situation where, like even an outgoing transfer is standing on the table, for this guy and saying, yeah, he's the right guy for that. And that, what, when Rule said that, and you could tell also, not that I did trust Rule, but you heard it from players as well. That did do something to me, where I was like, they see this every day, and everybody's spouting opinions sort of about Donovan Raiola based off a very difficult year to work through that last season before Rule got here. Maybe the players who saw it every day know a little bit more than everybody else on the outside. And so I really took that into account. So I don't want to dismiss what happened at UCLA with, like, those guys saw it on the ground level and how invested a coach is in it and in them, and they believe in it. My thought with that is, with that head coaching spot, you do need to weigh that in, but you also, man, it's such a big decision for that job. Like, sometimes you have to go against the grain. I think if you feel like you got a better option, and you might have to, some of the stuff might burn down for a year or two, but if you feel like you got a better pick elsewhere, go that way. But maybe the AD didn't, and that's their pick, and so be it. I think Nebraska's thankful that it turned out that way, because they got a really good football coach for another year.
We're talking with Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7.
Hopefully 2 or 3.
BC.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Ideal, right? I feel like I'm sort of talking out of both sides of my mouth here, because I am thrilled that Tony White is staying at Nebraska. I'm also, I think, upset on his behalf that he didn't get the offer to coach at UCLA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just because what do you think of it?
I feel like he deserved the opportunity, whether he wanted to say yes or no. Like, I wanted him to stay because he wanted to still be here, not because he didn't get the offer.
And we don't know. Maybe
he did. Maybe he did. I don't know that, but that's the perception is they chose Foster over him.
Gotcha.
And now I'm mad on his behalf.
No, I get it. I think there's a lot of fans like that around here. I'll tell you what, there's a few coaches who have come in a year and have what is it, the Q rating or whatever they go by, like where you're just popular. Like, I mean, he's that guy around here right now, and so everybody wants that to continue and to see where they build this thing off of last season. But I think there's a complete understanding and hope for him to be able to make that next move. And I think Rule, when you listen to him, wants to have that situation where his guys branch out over time and you're having the type of success where you build that coaching tree, because it means things are going really well in your house. So your sentiment, I think, is actually quite a popular one around the state.
BC, what did you make of Thomas and kind of his first go around with handling the media? It's crazy, and I know they've worked together, and I should not be surprised, but the common language, the tie that binds, the using of the word trust, the understanding roles. I'm like, why am I even surprised that insert different coach to sound the same, even as a new hire?
Yeah, he sounded like one of us, as they say. I guess I'm sure.
It's crazy.
But yeah, he definitely did. I think this is a no-brainer hire all the way around, and I've thought it more and more in the last week or so as I've kind of just looked at his background. And I've said this a couple times, but every coach, if you go anywhere in the country, you go look at his bio, he'll have like 5 or 6 players maybe that are in that bio. It's like, oh, he worked with so-and-so, right, who was like a 3rd-round draft pick and this and that. And sometimes you got to be careful with those, because you'll read them and you'll be like, yeah, he did work with this one coach, did work with this guy for a year maybe, but you kind of don't see where that coach was really the influence that got that guy to the league or something. When I look at Glenn Thomas's bio and you think about specifically the names of PJ Walker and Charlie Brewer, that's a case where it's very legit. It's like, man, that's true. That he had such an impact on the growth of those players who nobody was talking a whole lot about, and he got some time with them. There were cases where they were, he got them young in their college careers, and you saw the development. And you saw PJ Walker actually get to the league, and Charlie Brewer had a great college career. And then he had Cameron Friel at UNLV, who was a all Mountain West freshman of the year. So when you kind of go back and just study it, you're like, man, his situation fits perfectly with where Nebraska is right now, with 2 freshman QBs, 2 guys where they're going to, as they say, start from the ground up. And he's going to meet them where they are, figure out some of the things they got to change, but do it, as Rule said last night, at the pace that is right for each player. So it just sounds like Rule has complete comfort in, he knows those QBs are getting the training he wants. He can not even worry about that. It's going to be done right. And, then we'll, at some point, the head coach will make a decision on like what the pecking order is and all that stuff. But you're getting the good teaching that gets you to that point. So I feel really strongly about that hire, that it's sort of like, after it happened, you're like, why would they done anything else? Kind of, it just fits right to me.
BC, do you wonder at all why that choice wasn't made last year? I know that there was the Jake Peets thing, right, where they thought he was going to come in and be a quarterback coach. Do you wonder at all why they didn't just get the band back together right away and go to Glenn Thomas and say, hey, let's do this thing the way we always have? Like that part of it seemed a little strange to me when it kind of ends up being that way anyway.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I mean, I do know there was a report about Pete's last year in like a couple of days where everybody thought that was going to happen, and Sat would coach tight ends then, and that would be it. And so I don't know on the Glenn Thomas angle why at that moment it wasn't right. But, sometimes other guys have something in the fryer over here, and this guy's got, it has to always kind of match up. So who's to say? But it just felt like for right now where they were, he's a guy who I like it on game day too. Like, I like the fact that you have a QB's coach in Glenn Thomas who, with those, let's say you have a freshman starter, over on the sideline, he can just have that time with the player one-on-one and be in his headspace a little bit. And, then Satterfield's thinking about the big picture over here. And I like the collaboration piece too. And, that's last night, Rule said coordinator's not just a title like co-OC that I give to somebody just to get them here.
Mhm.
This is somebody I've trusted with my offenses and Glenn Thomas to design offenses before, to call plays. I just believe in him in that way. And I don't think this is a deal where he's known Satterfield for 20 years. Satterfield was the guy who at Temple brought up his name actually. So, I mean, it feels like a good connection there, too, for Sat. I just think Sat's in a good spot with it, with somebody he trusts and knows well, and they're not going to have to do a lot of catch-up in how they want to operate in the spring. And it just seems to fit in a lot of ways. And I like that Satterfield can work with the tight ends, too, which I think is just a fascinating position group as you're trying to design this offense. They always say positionless. Well, the tight end's that spot where you can do so many unique things with it. It kind of makes sense that he's directly connected to those guys.
BC, I felt like we kind of buried the lead after signing day. Rules presser, where he went in depth about Sat, and he said he's really aggressive, and sometimes you can't always be aggressive at the quarterback spot, and then what the tight ends needed and its degree of difficulty in terms of concepts and his experience. I always say, as long as the media, hearing it through the media, isn't the first time you've heard something and it's been conveyed to you, it's probably cool to say out loud.
Mhm.
But I still think that delivery and his summation of that relationship basically told me all I needed to know about Coach Rule's personality. He's constantly evaluating. He's constantly tinkering. But most importantly, the open lines of dialogue where nobody's left wondering, I didn't see that coming. Do you know what I mean? Like, he laid it out there and just kept on moving like no big deal.
He packs a lot into his pressers. Like, if you go back to the one that happened, he did one like 2 or 3 days after the Iowa game. And he was already moving on, and he was getting asked about sort of like, okay, what are you going to do with your coaching setup? You got anything to say there? And, he said, I got to look things over and all that. But he also told us, he's like, yeah, of course, last year, that original plan was to have Satterfield work with the tight ends and all that. And he just keeps going. But it's like, what, he told you what he's going to do right there. Like that, days after the Iowa press conference, there it was. And so I like that. You know what I also like, Damon, is just not being wishy-washy about what roles are. And I know you can't always let everybody inside the kitchen, right? You can't let the whole public in on everything.
Yeah.
But we've had this deal where we go round and round sometimes. It happens more in season, but it's like, who's calling the plays? Is it this guy getting like 30% of the calls? And he just put that to bed for this offseason. He's like, he loves the Glenn Thomas hire, but he's like, that's the guy at the front of that room, and he made that clear. And I thought that was a really good thing to just like, that's what it is right now, and that's how we're proceeding.
Brian Christopherson from Husker
Fantastic,
24/7. BC, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
That's Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Coming up next, Andy Kendeigh from KETV here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well, and we're brought to you by our friends at Dyer Law. If you've been hurt in a personal injury accident, you can count on the Dyer Law team to provide you with a helping hand when you need it, no matter what you're dealing with. Call the Dyer Law team at 402-393-7529 or visit dyer.law to chat with trusted professionals about your personal injury claim. That's DYER.law. We
happy Hallmark greeting card.
Yeah, it's a happy Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about
I didn't say that. I said Hallmark greetings.
Are you one of those like it's all about the the card companies and?
Yeah, I mean it's commercial.
I mean most holidays are commercial.
And I mean, but hey, I don't want to knock the hustle.
I mean I don't care. It's fine. I mean it's whatever.
Yeah. When's the last time you used the word love?
I mean, I've said it in the show like 4 times today.
Yeah, in a descriptive manner. I mean, one to.
You mean saying I love someone?
Yeah.
To my wife this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, Hurrdat.
I tell her I love her before I leave every morning.
When she's up?
She's mostly asleep, but I say it still.
if she was like looking at you, would you like that?
No, I don't mind. I don't mind saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not like. Yeah, it's weird because my dad, and we're gonna get to AK here in just a second.
Oh, he's here.
Is he here?
Shane, are you producing?
I'm producing, and Andy's here.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Let's
go.
come back to that. See what normal people would do, Shane? They'd say, "Hey, I got Andy. He's on the line."
But I was loving that conversation.
Okay. Let's go to AK.
Joining us
so he cannot hate coming on the show because he doesn't love waiting online.
We just leave him on hold for half the segment.
AK, sorry about that, bud. I'm a little rusty.
Joining us on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline is Andy Kendeigh. What's up, bud?
Love you guys. What's happening? Welcome back.
Thank you. I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm back.
Oh my God, we were chatting in the sports office yesterday, and plus the DB's back, and I'm like, he is?
Yeah.
I'm like, DB, he's back. He's back. So we were like, all right, little air fist pumping.
Listen, I was with Kugler yesterday for like an hour and some change. If you could have been a fly on the wall, he's probably like, man, how are you even a functioning adult? It's great.
Well, it's good to have you back. And, I before we get into this, I do want to, because I brought up Matt Foster, I want to give a big salute because Matt Foster's last day is today at KETV. 4+ years, and Matt Foster is moving on. And I cannot thank the guy enough. The guy.
Well, you have lost some. You guys have lost some good ones.
Yes, we have. That's what it's. It's part of the business, as you guys know, and this is one of the bad parts of the business. But he's one of the all-timers, and I cannot tell you how much work that guy does. He's first one in, last one out, and man, he's going to be missed dearly, and I wish him nothing but the best moving forward.
So do I start rethinking the Big Red Zone thing now, or are we like
well,
I can't hit curveballs, so you better tee this one up for me.
Well, the word that keeps coming up when thinking about that is leverage, DB. So you have leverage, or you have hands.
I'm like, so well, who am I going to be talking to now?
Well, that's a $10,000 question.
All right, we'll get there.
We'll figure that out in the next couple of weeks.
Good for Matty, man. The married life got him.
Yep, you got it. You got that right.
AK, do you kind of feel like Matt Rule a little bit? People are coming in trying to pick some people off of your staff and maybe try and get them to bigger and better places. Like, I mean, it's got to be tough, but it's also got to be nice when you see people progress in their lives and careers, right?
I do feel a little bit like that because I felt like Matt Rule and stumping for Tony White getting the UCLA job. You're trying to go for the UCLA job. Listen, I get where we're at, and if people want to look and move on, I am all for it. It is all about the individual. So yeah, no, it is interesting. It's an interesting comparison because I know people were like, wow, why would Matt Rule go out and stump for Tony White to get another job? Head coach? Well, you want the best for your people,
yeah, and
you want them to be successful and be happy. So I totally get where Matt Rule's coming from with that whole Tony White thing. So good on him, and that's the way we believe too.
You know, it's interesting. You kind of watch to see whether the proof's in the pudding, and he said all along, hey, I want my guys to be successful. I think eventually it comes back around when you do right by people. It's just the right thing to do. And he's not afraid to let guys go or send guys away to get experience, then bring them back. Like he's a total chess checkers guy, kind of a little bit of a throwback in this cutthroat business of actually investing in other people.
No doubt about it. I mean, just look at what we just saw this past week with Glenn Thomas. You know, there's a guy that obviously worked with him. And the thing that came up with Rule and Thomas when we talked to him on Monday was the trust factor. Like, it was a no-brainer to bring this guy back. And why did Matt Rule bring this guy back? Because he trusts him. He knows he's going to do what Matt Rule wants to do. He's one of us, as Matt Rule says. And that's so important when you're building a staff at that level. And if you got guys you can trust, you don't have to henpeck. You don't have to be standing over their shoulder saying, hey, don't do this, do that, because you know it and you've been through it before. And having that experience of having that guy on staff is only going to help this team moving forward. Now, the dynamic I was interested in seeing play out is him with Thomas and Marcus Satterfield. Now, that's kind of weird, especially because they got the same the title in their job description or whatever. But, you know, credit to Coach Rule last week. He said, no. Okay, it does say co-offensive coordinator, whatever. But Marcus Satterfield, he's going to be calling the plays, but it's a collaborative effort. Thomas is a collaborative co-coordinator, if you will. So I thought that was interesting that right away, boom, he set the pecking order and saying, this is how the jobs are, the job descriptions are, and we're going to work together to make it to make this thing work. So, and Thomas said as much. He said he's known Satterfield for decades. So, it's always an interesting deal where people get all uncomfortable about, hey, these guys have the same title. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? No, it's all about the one thing, and that's the product on the field and doing the best by your guys.
So you could even take your business and kind of what you do. You know, Omaha is one of those weird markets where it's like it's really, really close. It should, the whole metered market thing, and it's a great sports market, but it's always like the stepping stone, and you have to embrace that, right? Like, AK, you got to know.
No doubt.
Hey, okay, I get it. This could be temporary, but I'm going to give you everything I've got because I'm for you. And you've gotten some gems out of that. It's funny to me to watch this work and to see guys that talk about trust and they kind of sound the same and they're unified. And it's still kind of novel. You think we would be moving more towards, hey, this works. Why aren't we more like this, where I can cheer for somebody else and it very well may be at my expense?
Yeah, no question. But here's the deal. Like, you brought up a great point. I will bring up a conversation that Ellie French and I had 6 months ago or 8 months ago. And I don't think she'd mind me telling this. Like, Ellie and I, we were talking about her future and her contract was coming up, and that's just part of the business. And, Ellie, to her credit, saying, hey, this is what I have in front of me. What do you think? And as her boss, but more importantly, as her friend, I'm like, listen, Ellie, if you were my daughter, this is what I would say.
Ooh.
You need to go and branch out and see what's out beyond Omaha and what that gives you in Green Bay. And that means covering the NFL. There is nothing like covering an NFL team. I've done it. I know it. On a week-to-week basis, you're going to run into people nationally that you wouldn't run into at Memorial Stadium. Is that good or bad? No, it's not a knock. It's just the truth. I said, Ellie, I am all for you moving on to Green Bay if that's going to better your career, and I think it will. And so she's doing a bang-up job. She got to go cover the NFL and the Green Bay Packers on a week-to-week basis, and she got to cover the NFL playoffs, making contact that she would never have had in Omaha. So, yes, while it hurt us in the short term, it helps her in the long term. And that's seriously what this is all about, because I've been on both sides.
There's no way I'm comparing you, AK, to Matt Rule, but I remember Xavier Betts, and I told this story on air. Matt Rule said to me when he called, he said, DB, if it were my son, I wouldn't let him quit. And I remember I almost dropped the phone. I was so moved by the fact that he would say that. If it were my son, I would not let him quit. And you just said, if it were my daughter, this is what I would say, right? See, that emotional investment, it just, it's not as common as we think. It's simple, not easy.
100% DB, and that's the truth.
Andy Kendeigh, KETV, good stuff as always. AK, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks,
Happy
AK.
Valentine's Day.
Appreciate you.
Coming up next, Anna Bellinghausen here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I want to remind you about our friends, because you already know, the Omaha Supernovas. They won their match in Grand Rapids earlier this week. They are back at home this weekend, and you can go find tickets at supernovas.com. They've also got merch. They've got all the info about the team as well. All you got to go do is go to supernovas.com. They have an away game tomorrow. You can watch that on YouTube against the Vegas Thrill. But then they're back here where they belong at home on Sunday, February 18th against the Orlando Valkyries, 5 p.m., CHI Health Center. Make sure you get out. I gave you guys a pass for the 9,000 last week. I need 10,000 or more again this week. 5 digits or bust. Let's go, guys. Go to supernovas.com, get your tickets, or I'm going to have a stern talking to about the situation. All right, and you're not going to be happy about it. So let's just get the 10,000 or more. I'm personally shooting for 12.
Nobody can go passive aggressive like Ravi Lulla. Just go back and listen to the first hour.
What I do?
He's a bully.
Coming on the War Horse. Oh, so that's supernovas.com. Make sure you get out to the match on Sunday. Joining us now on the War Horse Sportsbook hotline is Anna Bellinghausen, our very own from Hurrdat Sports. Anna, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm a little sick, not gonna lie. This is my flu game for you guys. I would never skip out.
all right, easy beasy, not to be confused with Michael Jordan. So, like, are we going ham in this segment, or are you just gonna try to get through it?
We're gonna take it easy. I can't yell. I'm glad Andrew's not there yelling at me about track and field. And I wouldn't be able to fight back today.
Okay, so I got to ask you, Anna. I know you were at the Waste Management Open over the weekend. Yep. Is this like a real flu, or is this like
she did reference Jordan
getting a little older and the body doesn't quite recover as well flu?
Who knows? I was sick before a little bit, and then it just kept going, and I was like, whatever. It was too fun of an event not to miss, and I will say though, Saturday was insane. I mean, it was like 500,000 people there. They cut off every alcohol. It was ridiculous.
So I was joking about this on Monday with Ravi. I'm like, how bad must it have been at the Open for them to not only shut off alcohol sales, but to stop allowing people in? Like, this is one of the most famous. Their Wednesday deal is huge. I've known several people that partake in this. Why was this one so different?
Well, I think the event just got hyped up a lot, and my friends kept asking me, like, it's never been like this. Why is it so crazy this year? I think more people are finding out about it. Also, I blame Full Swing on Netflix for making it look like the coolest thing ever, and I feel like a lot of people watched it, put it on their bucket list, and I think that also helps a little bit. But they stopped scanning tickets was the issue. So security was just letting everyone through. Like, we didn't even have to have a ticket for Saturday, which is ridiculous because that's the busiest day, right? You want to see how many people are going in. Apparently they let in, the bartenders were telling us, they let in an extra 20,000 people that weren't supposed to be there. And then there was 54 people arrested. So
wow. Meanwhile, when we go to Iowa City or Minnesota, we have dogs sniffing our bags as media to get into the place. Like, really?
No, yeah, there was literally there was a police officer in front of me, and I was like, hey, my friend's behind me. I got to wait for my ticket. He's like, no, just go through. And we're like, okay.
So they were.
I'm just telling you, easy beasy, that's not happening to me. That is not happening to your boy out there in Phoenix, right? It's like, yeah, ticket, please.
So they were basically going all like high school basketball game after halftime. No ticket required. Just come on in.
Yep.
That is wild.
So did anybody care that, like, through 6 on Sunday, you had like 7 guys within 3 strokes and it was star-studded? I mean, like, it actually turned out to be a fantastic golf match too.
I didn't get to see any golf, really, because first of all, we were walking in a line. I'll send you the videos later. Like, we were walking with probably 10,000 people around us just trying to get to hole 16. We couldn't even get there. They closed it off. They made everyone turn around. It was like a World War Z situation. Everyone was just like running towards the wall. It was horrible.
World War Z on your bingo card.
I did not see that coming. We are talking to Anna Bellinghausen of Hurrdat Sports, who spent the weekend at the Waste Management Open. More for recreational purposes than for job purposes, but that's okay. I asked you this yesterday, but I'll ask you on air again. At this golf tournament, did you actually witness any golf?
No, not really. I probably saw maybe like 2 swings.
So
But,
the
like,
whole weekend you saw
that's
two
just-
swings.
That's just not why you're there. That's not why you're there.
Wow.
There's no way that 500,000 people were there to see golf, and I wasn't in the small percentage that was there for the golf.
I'm still
This
kind
is
of
why I'm now paying the price.
I'm still kind of miffed that it's like, go ahead. You're good.
No, that they did not care. They were letting just herds of people through. No security, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, F it, everyone go.
DB and I don't get the wave through real often.
Can you imagine? It's like, hey, you're good. You're good.
All right, Anna, we were at the Creighton game last night, sitting a couple seats away from each other, making a little Jacob Padilla sandwich there up in the media section.
Yeah.
What was your impression of, I mean, obviously the crowd gets going pretty good early because of dollar beer night, and then you have the late, kind of in the second half, you got the Baylor Shireman triple-double. It was kind of weird because it wasn't a great game for Baylor in terms of didn't shoot the ball that well. You wouldn't have necessarily said, oh, this is, he's had some really good games where he's gotten close to a triple-double, and you're like, oh, this would kind of make sense. He gets it here. This was sort of a nondescript Baylor Shireman to be the first points, rebounds, assists, triple-double in Creighton history.
Yeah, it was. You could see the frustration on Baylor's face, and it's funny that he ended the game with the first ever traditional triple-double because his body language, I mean, for the first half, he was pretty upset at himself. I think he started 0 for 4, 0 for 5.
0 for 6 from 3 was at halftime.
0 for 6?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So, he wasn't shooting well. I mean, you could see it at the end of the second half, or end of the first half, he had this late circus shot at the buzzer, and he just kind of stomped the ground and was just like, ugh. Like, you can just see it on his face. But it's funny because he ended with, I think it was 7 assists in the first half. And I'm like, whoa, like, he's still having a great game and creating points. I think Rob Anderson tweeted that those assists led to 20 points for the Blue Jays. So, I mean, he was creating opportunities for his team when his shot's not falling. And I think that just says a lot about his character. And it was like the most Baylor Shireman-esque triple-double you could get besides him draining, 9 threes in a game. But I think that shows his character so much. And you heard Greg McDermott talk about it in the post-game press conference, just about how much we should appreciate, the big three that Creighton has right now, and just what they're witnessing with this team and Trey Alexander, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and Baylor, just the careers that they're having. So I think it made me take a step back, and I hope it made fans take a step back too, of saying, well, like, we're witnessing some generational talent come through Creighton right now that, you're never going to get all at once. And especially for guys that all decided to come back and not go to the NBA. So Ed Cooley was really complimenting Baylor afterwards, said he was an NBA player. And he also said that Creighton could have beat the Celtics last night, which I thought was funny. But, yeah, when they're clicking, they're clicking.
Yeah, it's weird because I think Georgetown shot 17 of 31 in the second half from the field and still got blown out. Like, it was – you don't see that a ton. We're kind of witnessing this curious case of like Frederick King and the emergence lately of Jason Green and shuffling Isaac Trout in. Think that those fresh legs down the stretch and maybe a couple of different styles, the way that Creighton can play now with a little stretchier forward. Green's been a great rebounder, that they can play differently here down the stretch.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Jason Green has given them so much on defense, too.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe a little bit of what they were missing. And the fact that you can throw him in there as young as he is, and I think that we saw just a little glimpse of the talent we'll see down the road from Jason, I think is huge. And I got to talk to him post-game, and he was just all smiles. It was so awesome.
He's a great kid.
He's awesome. And just to hear him talk about how he had a red shirt last year, he said, playing out, I wasn't good enough last year, and I hurt my hand this year, of course, right when I feel like I finally can, fit in with this team and get minutes. And then he works his way back and earns his minutes, 15 with 7 points for it. I think that's a pretty cool story. He's from Millard North, of course. So, love to see that. And I think the future is bright. But for now, Creighton will need those guys and those legs to take off their starters that, are playing usually 38 to 40 minutes a game.
Anna Bellinghausen, Hurrdat Sports. Anna, all right, rest up a little bit with your, I'm gonna do air quotes here, flu, quote unquote. Just rest up and recover a little bit, and we'll talk to you later.
It was the pizza, Anna. It was the pizza.
Happy to back, DB.
All right, appreciate you.
I ate the pizza.
It was
nobody else ate the pizza. I ate the pizza.
Yeah.
Just a little bodyguard. I ate the pizza. You brought up an interesting point there with Jason Green.
I try.
I think having a little lineup versatility could help this team a lot.
So are we just not going to talk about what's happened with Frederick King, or out of sight, out of mind? Because
we can talk about it.
No, it's just interesting how it hasn't really been a topic of discussion the last.
Because I think everybody understands why, right? He just hasn't been playing well.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like a mystery, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. We can dive into it next as
we got lots
kickoff hour. We have a lot to cover in the last hour. We're probably not going to get to most of it because DB is going to make me chase a squirrel or something. But it's all good. We've got more.
We call that projection.
Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. We are live on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and for this third hour, we're on KFOR in Lincoln. I'm Ravi, Lulla, DB here with me. We were just joined by Anna Bellinghausen on that Warhorse Sportsbook hotline. And I want to tell you about Warhorse Sportsbook. You can go to the sportsbook at the casino in Lincoln, or you can go to Horseman's Park in Omaha, 6303 Q Street. That's right. You can make your bets right here in Omaha with Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your bets. You can do nearly every major sporting event, pro and college, basketball, baseball. We're talking about Waste Management Open. You could have placed your bets on that. MMA, whatever you can think of. Straight bets, parlays, props, live in-game bets, all accepted. If you want some more info for details, house rules, all that kind of stuff, go to warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook or download the Warhorse Casino app for more info. Warhorse Sportsbook, no bets, no glory.
It's funny. I was looking at so two things. Clint, not Eastwood, which is funny because did you see my shirt?
Oh, what is that Dirty Harry?
No, it's the Outlaw.
Oh, okay.
Josie Wales.
Oh, Josie. Okay.
Big Clint Eastwood guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I love Clint
I think my. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Okay.
I think my grandpa was a big Clint Eastwood guy, but I didn't want to make it an old thing. So
well, you've been doing. I mean, you got off to a roaring start in the 7 o'clock hour. Yeah, guys like Jed making fun of me, or maybe I did that to
Clint
myself.
Eastwood's legit.
No, I
mean, he spanned
I
7.
didn't realize he was like
7
94.
Oh yeah, he's up there. He is.
I don't think he's done anything for the last couple of years.
You big Gran Torino guy?
Yes.
Get off my lawn.
I'm a huge.
Good
that's
movie.
one of the more underappreciated.
Were you
movies.
a Trouble with the Curve guy?
No. See, I don't like his attempts at humor.
Yeah.
You
want him to be like
I'm an Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Josie Wales, Hang 'em High,
like the
Dirty Harry.
Yeah. The tough guy. You like the tough guy, Clint Eastwood.
I just like the scowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and he's believable.
Oh yeah.
Like he's believable. But he retweeted Shooter McGavin, who I actually follow.
Clint Eastwood retweeted it?
I'm sorry?
Clint Eastwood?
No. So Shane, follow along. I know you fade in and out of listening.
Well, I've got Josie Wells on my mind.
The X account is Clint, not Eastwood Smith. He retweeted, which got me talking about Clint Eastwood.
Our guy
because
Clint?
I'm wearing a Josie Wales t-shirt.
Our guy Clint?
No, it's not Dookie Clint.
No.
Although Dookie Clint did send me a message the other day.
So
so
nice.
Good to have. Yeah, he's Team DB. It's actually probably his wife and kids. They're Team DB, and I think he goes along because he's a sorry Duke fan. But so Shooter McGavin's deal here with the waste management statistics, 653 calls for service, but only 54 arrests. I don't want to do that paperwork either. But you had 0 in 2022. I mean, people are still leery of COVID. They're like, oh, too many people. They had 18 arrests in 2023, 54 in 2024. But here's the funny thing. 211 ejections in 2024, which was double from a year ago. But here's the one I don't get.
I don't get this one either.
The last one, trespass.
Yeah.
73 in 2024. It was 41 in 2023.
If you're
did we not just listen to Annabelle?
Yep. If you're waving people through, how are you trespassing?
They probably were overwhelmed.
Oh, absolutely. If there's 500,000 people there and they let in 20,000 people,
But do you understand what I'm telling you? Though? Like, we can get off the bus as a team.
Yeah.
And dogs sniff our bags.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what's happening out
in
there.
Public,
yeah, I don't
where
know.
It's much
more dangerous.
Dangerous.
Yeah, theoretically, yeah.
You're just
let's head on through.
Go ahead.
It's all good, homie. I don't know.
There's some great stories because I know more than a handful of people. One I actually know really well that spent like the Open is a thing for him.
Yeah, it goes down there.
Yeah. And
is it Oklahoma, Tyler?
No,
That sort of feels like
it's his personality. It's his personality.
It kind of feels like it would be his jam.
It's definitely, but it's a few too many people for him.
Ah, okay.
Like he
Too crowded.
Yeah, he would.
Okay.
He would
like you would hate it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no corners for you to hide in at the waste
And
management.
like, what could I drink all day?
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not having like
not doing like a
Mountain Dew.
You're so stupid. It's funny.
What? The Mountain Dew would kill me all day faster than the.
You might be the smallest, biggest ding dong I've ever met, and it is unbelievably funny. We're like Mountain Dew.
You're just out there with the Waterloos drinking all day, you know.
So these,
what is that? Sparkling water? What is that?
Yes.
Okay, it's like just flavored sparkling water.
Yes.
So it's like a LaCroix.
As I would say. Better flavor than LaCroix.
But same idea.
But I'm not a LaCroix hater either.
Yeah.
Like
it's in the same neighborhood.
I mess with LaCroix. Yeah.
Okay.
So these are $8.99 for a 24-pack at Costco.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, not bad.
I'm paying like $18 for my 35-pack of Diet Coke right now.
See, I don't okay, that's gonna get me to say something slick to you.
What?
That might be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
What do you mean?
But this is followed by a guy. I gotta cross my legs and just talk to you here. Smashed privates and all. I said, hey, yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the hot seat questions was, would you give up your favorite protein or energy drinks for the rest of your life?
And I asked,
you conveniently said you wanted a bunch of qualifiers.
Yeah.
I still drink coffee. Could I do the? I said no. Like no
caffeine.
No caffeine drinks.
Yeah, that's where I said no.
You said yeah. I'm giving up the protein.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, you can have some substitutes. If you're a beef guy, go chicken, shrimp. If you're like, okay.
Was soda. Absolutely. Yeah. I live off the stuff.
That makes zero sense.
Listen, it makes me happy. It just makes
Can you walk our listeners through how you described it? You basically said you get too much joy.
Yes.
And you're not giving up the joy of drinking soda.
Listen, it's one of like the simple pleasures in life. And I get actual joy from it.
Oh my God.
And that's probably an addiction. I understand that. That's fine. But it doesn't hurt anybody.
You don't have any problems rationalizing that to me?
I don't care at all.
Drinking soda is one of the simple pleasures in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love diet soda. I drink it all the time.
Oh, I'm well aware.
I don't drink water at all. I
Really?
do not drink water.
I mean, okay.
It's one of the, it's Valentine's Day. It's one of the things I love in life is diet soda. Why would I give that up? I've given it up before. I have. I've gone
for what? Lent?
No, just for supposed health reasons. Because we're like, oh, diet soda is so bad for you. They're like, you stop drinking diet soda, you'll feel a million times better. I have stopped on separate occasions for months at a time with no soda, and I didn't feel the tiniest bit different.
My man said drinking soda is one of life's simple pleasures.
For me personally.
Like walking on the beach, like
sand
a nice
everywhere,
cigar.
I do like a nice cigar.
You know, some nice seared scallops.
Again, no, but that's like in the
$35 for an 18.
No. You flipped them. $18 for a 35 pack. $18.
That's extortion.
Pack. It is. No, it's gone up a lot. It used to be like $13, $14 for a 35 pack. The price has been jacked up. I'm not thrilled about it.
Not gonna judge the fact you need 35 either, because I mean we all have our vices, but
you don't want me to tell you that I buy 2 at a time usually.
Okay.
Hey, I can see that. There's nothing wrong with stocking up because you don't want to run out. Running out is terrible.
See, he gets it.
No, he doesn't. This is the same guy yesterday that said he eats a box of Cheez-Its in a weekend. So therefore he doesn't rebox them.
That's a lot of Cheez-Its.
He chip clips the plastic.
You got to rebox them because otherwise you end up with mushed up Cheez-Its.
But if you just set it on the counter,
just talking
just
to
set
you
it on
guys
the counter.
like I
put
left
a chip
mad.
clip. You put a chip clip on it. You can take it out of the box, and I do that because if I'm taking the trash out and I know I'm going to take that out later, and there's room in the trash, I'm just going to get rid of it now, so I don't have to get rid of it later.
It's one of life's simple pleasures.
It is one of life's simple pleasures.
Listen,
a
and
chip clip on
I'm
your
trying
Cheez-Its?
not to judge, but in
You're judging pretty hard.
in true Walt Kowalski fashion, get off my lawn.
You're judging pretty hard here.
Soda. One of life's simple
For a
pleasures.
guy that's sipping on knockoff LaCroix over here,
so this flavor is not great.
What do we have? What flavor?
This is summer berry, and
Okay.
I bought this in the dead of winter.
Of course.
But it had strawberry in it.
And you like strawberry?
No, their strawberry is fantastic.
Okay, you're just not a fan of that one.
No, and it also came with tropical punch. Like, I'm a firm believer they give you. It's like the facts of life. You got to take the good, you take the bad.
Yeah. With the variety packs, you're always going to have at least one you don't like.
Right.
Yeah, always.
Right.
Always.
So it's like, I'm peached out. Like, but yeah, this is
Not your fave?
It's suspect, but it does the trick.
You know what I never have that issue with? My Diet Coke. I never have that problem. Crack that thing open, happy every time. No variety packs needed.
My dude said the simple like eating a nice steak or something.
It's in the same neighborhood for me as like having a cigar.
But it's so readily available. Like, how can you get genuine joy over something that is so accessible outside of like your kids?
Well, I mean, I get the same, like my dogs are always readily available. I get joy from them.
So dogs and soda, same.
Not in the same neighborhood, but like a similar principle of, hey, it's always there, but it still makes me happy.
You said you sold our listeners short too, because yesterday you followed it up with, why would I rob myself of that pleasure?
No, for sure. Absolutely.
Soda.
For no reason. No, why would I rob myself of something I enjoy and I get no benefit from stopping doing it? There's no benefit for me to stop drinking soda. None.
There's science out there. You know this, right?
There's science about rats. I'm not a rat.
Okay.
Listen, I don't want to go all Aaron Rodgers on you here, but I've done my research.
Oh, Lord.
On the aspartame, right?
Yeah, so aren't we starting to do away with that?
Some people are. So there's like a stevia Diet Pepsi and stuff. But here's the thing. The amount you would have to drink for it to affect you the way that it affects rats is astonishing even for me, the guy who buys 70 cans at a time at Costco.
That is unbelievable.
You're talking about dozens a day.
Bless your heart.
I'm like 4 or 5 a day, tops. Maybe 6. Tops.
Oh, okay.
Tops.
To each their own.
Maybe 10. No, I'm just kidding.
7.
Maybe a dozen. Top. No. It's usually between 4 and 6 a day. That's it. No big deal.
Doc Sadler. No big deal.
I did want to talk about things. Speaking of things that we are a little obsessed with or love here on Valentine's Day. No big deal. I told you yesterday I wanted to get to some random players that you just have a strange affinity for. Like, they're not guys that, I compare it to, and this guy's not on my list, even though I named one of my dogs after him. Okay. Everybody during the Creighton era loved Doug McDermott, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh,
I was obsessed
so
with
why
Ethan
did
Rocky.
you let me give away the
Which one?
Why did you let me go the up reference when you're talking about Doug?
Oh, Doug's not named after Doug McDermott.
Okay.
Rogge's named after Ethan Rogge.
Well, there aren't a lot of
There's not a lot of Rogges out there.
Yeah.
I actually met one randomly. This is a weird story. I met somebody who was related to Ethan Rogge, and they thought it was super weird that I named my dog after their cousin. And I was like, listen, I was just a big fan. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, I drink 7 sodas a day.
6
man. I mean,
tops.
What's the big deal?
No, Doug is named after.
That's really not that many. I mean, that's if you're
Shane.
you're up like 18 hours anyway, so there's one every like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
I wouldn't say 8. Yeah, I'm up. Yeah, 8.
Pretty close.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, Doug is named after the tree, the Douglas fir, because he was a Christmas present to my wife. So he's named after a pine tree because he's a Christmas tree. The old Douglas fir.
So is that his middle name?
Yeah, they all have middle names.
Fur is his middle name.
Yep. You want to know what Rogge's middle name is?
Oh my gosh, I'm afraid.
It's another Creighton player.
Buford.
Ooh, Buford would be a great dog name, but that's not it.
What?
It's Rocky Funk.
Oh, geez. Oh my gosh.
That's great. I like that.
I'm like the whole day had me shook from this morning. I need to revisit some things.
Wasn't the contract signed? I don't know what to tell you. Wait. All right. So you tried to give me Matt Camp, and I go too good. He was too good.
Yeah.
To be our random love list. All right. So who did you come up with?
So, like, are we going to alternate or just?
Yeah, we'll alternate. We'll ping pong a little bit.
So, for a guy that never played for a team that I cheered for.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of it too.
I loved it. Totally irrational. I loved Willie McGee.
Oh, okay.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah. A little speedster.
Yeah. I grew up wanting to be Ozzie Smith.
Okay. Yeah.
So I paid attention
to the Cardinals,
and they were always a thorn in the side of the Dodgers.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
And I have an unhealthy affinity for. I'm like, why? How can he play with his nostrils so flared? Like, could I park a small car in there? He kind of like had a high back too. Like, he's what we call like a high booty guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was still so fast and fluid. Like, I was enamored with Willie McGee.
He's the dude. They had the AstroTurf at Old Busch Stadium, and he would just slap that ball straight into the ground, and it would bounce super high. By the time it came down, he'd be at first base.
Big Willie McGee guy.
Big Willie. That's a good one. See, that's a random one. I like that.
Yeah.
My first one, also baseball. Baseball really lends itself to random guys that you have an affinity for.
Yeah.
Willie Mo Pena.
Because of his name?
The name helps. But he had prodigious power. I mean, and also he's the real life embodiment of Pedro Serrano from Major League. Like, he's actually could not hit a curveball, hit straight ball very, very far.
Oh, I got a guy like that.
I was in, and I don't know why I was obsessed with him before he ever played for the Red Sox. Like, I loved him when he played for the Reds, and then he came to the Red Sox for a couple of years, and I was over the moon about it. I saw him in Kansas City hit a baseball. You know how they used to have the truck that you could win?
Mm-hmm.
He cleared the truck. This thing was 450 feet away, and he clears the truck. It was one of the hardest hit baseballs I've ever seen in my life. Just prodigious power. Never really figured it out because he couldn't hit curveballs or whatever. Ended up having a nice little career in Japan. But I loved Willie Mo Pena.
I got that guy.
Who's that?
He played first base for the Dodgers.
Okay.
Guy by the name of Mike Marshall.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Big Mike Marshall guy.
Yeah.
No, for no good sound reason other than I felt like he saves a lot of bad throws.
Okay. He could pick it.
Oh yeah.
Pick a machine.
Very, very good defensively. He's a dead red guy. But Mike Marshall belongs in that discussion.
Speaking of a Marshall McDougal. This is a throwback name. Florida State guy, played in the late 90s, was up here at the College World Series. The reason he got on my radar is because I think it was against Maryland one year, I think in 99, 2000, somewhere in there. Hit 6 home runs in a game. Now, this is peak Gorilla Ball era, right? So you have to keep that in mind. The unsanctioned bats, whatever. But 6 home runs in a game. So I saw that as like a headline on the early internet, the little things like scroll and you're dialing up and stuff. And I became obsessed with him. He ends up in Omaha, and probably not that many people will remember this, but he hit a ball against Miami in the championship game that would have won the College World Series, but it was a warning track shot. Came down the guy's back for Miami. It was like against the wall when he got this thing. I remember it like it was yesterday. I loved Marshall McDougal.
So I got a hockey guy.
Okay.
I still want to. I'm sticking with Lenny Pinto too.
Absolutely.
I have Jessica Cootie let me know that she was interviewing him last week.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, I'm interviewing your guy. Make sure you're paying attention,
tuned in."
And I couldn't believe that she remembered that I have such a weird affinity for Pinto, just because of his style. And like, they have a few aggressive guys, right? I mean, Rich Love, like, they have some guys. Big Peyton Robb guy, obviously Antrell being from right up the street. But Lenny Pinto belongs in that discussion. Now, this guy's weird because he's played for multiple teams, as have a lot of hockey guys. It's like seeing Yager as a Flyer and some other bad,
some weird
hated franchises that Yager played for. But I used to like this guy, and I would pick him. My buddy Brian Kinkle and I, we would always play. Occasionally, I wouldn't go to class in Lincoln, and it was always because we were playing NHL.
Okay.
There are just so many good, Hurrdat, like there's just a lot of guys that played, right?
Yeah.
So he and I, and we would pick all-star teams because you could make your own all-star teams.
Yeah.
I would always take Darius Kasparaitis.
And
I would always, and we would be playing, and I would I'd cross-check him. I was like, yeah, you got a case of the Kasparaitis. But he was like, he would protect the Penn Stars in the 90s.
So he's the enforcer.
And he wasn't a big guy, necessarily, but I'm a big Darius Kasparaitis
guy.
Yeah.
Here's one that is super random, but you actually know him.
Okay.
And it might exclusively be because of his name.
This is the love. You love him.
Tim Biakabatuka.
Oh my God.
An all-time name.
So full disclosure.
Yeah.
Biak is a guy that I would like to just spend like a month with. He was unbelievable. He reminded, outside of the gifted part, he reminded me a lot of me. He was unbelievably gifted.
He's like low-key kind of a genius, right? Like he's really smart.
Yes. And he was
he comes from a super smart family, like
right,
an academic family.
His dad taught at the university in Montreal.
Yeah.
But he's originally from Africa. And so he had this great accent, and he was super pigeon-toed, which is why I think he kind of had knee injuries because he walked on the balls of his feet.
Yeah.
But he was so smart. And he was always kind of this deeper level thing. Like we had, this isn't for radio, but we would have like these conversations about guys on our team, like, Wesley Walls and really interesting stuff about Ray Carruth, and we all went shopping one day. But Tim, he was kind of like a mentor, but he had like this high running style. And I remember he's the guy that first told me, if you're hurt, if you want to make it to IR, don't try to come back where they get you on film, because if they get you on film, then they can cut you.
Yeah.
So if you're hurt, just be hurt. I just was like, okay,
because you're not putting good film.
No,
out when
he
you're
just
hurt.
was very, very. He was brilliant. Could speak multiple languages.
Yeah.
I'm a big Biakabatuka
I just remember seeing him at Michigan.
No, you talk about being too good. He's too good. You wouldn't let me use Matt Kemp.
Well, I mean, in the NFL, he wasn't what he was at Michigan. Started first watching a ton of college football, and so Michigan was on a bunch in like that kind of mid '90s range. I just loved.
He was amazing. I got a weird one for you, running back.
All right,
Steelers. Weird, right?
Yeah.
Walter Abercrombie.
Oh,
and it was a name thing.
Yeah, guys with good names are easy to like.
And I was like, way to rock that 34. I was a Dante Calabria, Carolina. There's a lot of guys that I like that.
Nomar Garciaparra, great name. Too good, but
Pete Chilcutt.
Coming up next, we got more Hurrdat Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. DB and I going through some names of random guys we love in sports.
Irrational loves on a fake love day.
Well, listen, it's real love. It's a fake day.
Mary J. Blige, real love. I'm searching for a real love. Was that off? What's the 411?
I don't remember.
That's in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can I give you guys
Shane.
Please.
Go ahead, Shane. Go ahead.
I would love to be able to do this.
Just go ahead.
Okay.
Because you're talking video games. The guy I always went for in a video game was NCAA basketball for the Super NES, which was like a 92, 93 game. Something that was always Ray Allen. I mean, that was my go-to guy.
Was he on that Coach K UConn team?
No, not Coach K. UConn? Coach Calhoun.
All right, I'm going to say this real slow for you. Coach K was the video game.
Oh, okay. I did not know
UConn
that.
was a team.
I did not know that. I was like, what are you talking about? You having like a moment here? Like, no, Coach K did not coach.
Oh, you and TK on me about being old. That's cool. And here, like, newsflash, I'm not that old.
You're not that much older than me, which is why it's a little
My
funny.
man just tweeted that. You got to take credit for that senior moment. Did I have one?
Drunk. Well, I don't remember which one. It was probably about technology, if I'm guessing.
By the way, do monks drink?
Yeah, they invented beer.
Oh, the more you know.
Yeah, they that's what else are they gonna do? They invented beer.
The drunk
monks.
monk.
He says Earl Boykins. Drunk monk says Earl Boykins, which is terrific ones.
Yeah.
5'5", Nuggets.
Yeah, he can handle it.
He could get a little bucket too. He was a bucket.
Was that Travis that likes the 07 basically the 07 Rockies?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I was just double checking because I didn't get a chance to Google. I'm pretty sure that was Ubaldo Jimenez.
I think you're right. Yeah, as the closer.
Now those guys, so they had the off-traveled. He was a Cub and he was a twin too. LaTroy Hawkins.
Oh yeah.
Was on that team. Now that team could hit.
They could.
Because that was like Matt Holliday.
Yep. Peak Matt Holliday.
Tulo was there.
Tulo was on that team. I'm trying to remember who else was on that team.
What's his buckets? Tennessee.
Todd Helton. Love Todd Helton.
Helton was there.
Yep. That was the team that got swept by the Red Sox in the series.
Who caught? Was it Iannetta?
Was it Iannetta?
Might have been Barnes.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't remember now. But that team could rake a little bit.
So he's like the third Rockies fan I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not.
You know that Colorado Josh,
Yeah.
obviously he loves the Rockies, and Don Meyer, who always changes his X handle.
He does.
I don't know who he is.
I never
now.
know. Yeah, I never know.
I think he's a big Rockies
My
guy.
buddy Kyle is a big Rockies fan. He's from Colorado originally.
Yeah.
So he's a big Rockies guy. But yeah, that 07 Rockies team was low-key kind of fun.
Well, they could rake.
They really could. Nothing against my 07 Sox, though. Couldn't do it. Don't worry about it.
I went down a rabbit hole, and I blame TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
There's a guy. I should follow the account, but I have this weird thing. Like, I don't want to get to 40 followers.
Or following.
I'm following. So I'm at 39. It's so stupid. Like, there's no even good reason. None. Like, zero.
I do the same thing on Twitter, though. Like,
So,
I'm like, I don't want to get over this
There's
number.
the guy that posts top fives of all times from schools, and it's basketball.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. He had Tolliver on his top 5 Jays of all time.
Ooh.
At number 5.
Ooh. So here's the funny thing about Tolliver. He was better as a pro
100%.
than he was at Creighton. Like the fact, and he had a nice senior year at Creighton, but before that, he was largely kind of disappointing. And this is not hating on him at all. It's actually giving him credit for finding a way to make a really nice NBA career, despite the fact that he sort of had a hard time. Because I don't know if you remember in college, he had a set shot.
Yeah, he had,
For a while in
and he had like Felipe Lopez on St. John. I don't know if I would have had Felipe Lopez.
Top 5 Creighton off the top of my head. You got to go. Doug, obviously,
was
Corvers.
Doug was 1. Who was 2?
What is gonna? He's probably gonna go old school. No, or if he didn't go old school, then he's probably wrong.
He went Corver.
Corver's okay at 2. But after that, you probably either have to go like Benoit.
Benoit was 4.
You probably have to go like a Harstad.
Nope. You're gonna miss the obvious because he's old.
Who's the other?
Maybe
one?
known for it more as a coach.
Paul Silas.
Correct.
He probably didn't put Bob Gibson on there, but maybe he should have. There's another one around the same era as Harstad that I always forget. I think his name was also Bob. I'm trying to remember.
You thinking of Gallagher?
Yeah, Gallagher. Was it Chad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Mason.
He didn't put like Funk on there, did he?
Nope.
My personal favorite, P. Allen Stinnett. No.
Do you know the funny thing about that? I was at a basketball game.
Yeah.
At Millard North.
Yeah.
Getting ready to do a Cox broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is because that's what, early 2000s? No,
it's like early 2010s.
Yeah,
Late
yeah.
2000s, early 2010s.
So, and we're in a knockdown drag out with this particular individual over whether Pialin Stinnett is going to cost Dana Altman his job. I swear to goodness. It was the most uncomfortable public conversation ever. And he's like pointing at me, and we're getting ready to go on air, and it's just like, are you really? Wait, and he changed he sold his soul to the devil, and damn it, I swear, Damon, I swear it's going to be the end of him. And my dialect kind of, I was talking to an older gentleman.
Yeah.
Like this dude really wanted
He was getting after it.
Yeah, over Pialin.
That's funny. Super talented guy, but didn't, so I mean, I named more than 5 guys there. I don't think I'd put.
I can't remember who he put for 5.
I don't think I'd put Tolliver on the list.
Oh, it was Tolliver. Tolliver was 5.
I wouldn't put Tolliver on the list.
Tolliver was 5. Silas was, or Benoit was 4. Silas was 3. Corver was 2.
I don't have a problem with the first 4 in some order, but there's better players than Tolliver in great history.
What
as college players.
Is Felipe Lopez a top 5 St. John?
Probably not.
He did go with Malik Sealy, which I like. Mark Jackson was 5.
Mark Jackson.
Walter Berry was 2. Chris Mullen was 1.
Chris Mullen has to be there. I'm not as good with St. John's as I am because they were.
Who would you have made 1 at Georgetown?
I mean, my gut was Ewing.
He made Ewing 1. Iverson 2.
You would have gone Iverson?
He was unbelievable.
Ewing had a better college
Iverson's place in history is going to be lost.
Yeah,
because of his era.
Because of his era and because he didn't win at the highest level. And I'm not saying it's his fault even.
Iverson was unbelievable.
He was. But the guys that don't, I mean, like
I didn't love his Tar Heels either.
Like your Bernard Kings, like the guys that not
Tennessee's finest.
Like the guys that didn't win at a super high level, even though they were incredible, get lost. George Gervin gets lost to history because he wasn't a Celtic or a Laker or, like he didn't win at that level. Those guys fall through the cracks historically.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because some of them are better than the guys we remember, right? Like they just are, but they weren't in the right situation or they didn't, especially back in the day when, like pre-free agency and stuff, and you didn't have a lot of choice on what was going on around you. Like now, if you don't win and you're supposed to be one of the great players.
You know who gets left out and he's current and he's a Dookie because I was just thinking about his Duke list and they took it one step further and he went like Blue Duke versus White Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know maybe it was because he only played 1 year.
Who?
But he was going for like 19 a night. Brandon Ingram
was a bucket.
Way good.
Brandon Ingram was a bucket.
And nobody puts him on their list.
Yeah.
He was sensational.
Amazing Dana brings one up. He says if Barkley wasn't so visible post-career, he could fall into the gaps as far as somebody who's forgotten historically.
I believe it.
Yeah. But he's so visible now.
He was phenomenal.
He was. But again, because he didn't win at that super high level,
he's probably more visible now than he was back then.
Oh, absolutely. He's more famous now than he's ever been, I think.
I kind of feel like Daniel just said that.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Shane, are you listening to the show? You see, I low-key turned my back to Shane.
I'm on delay.
I don't think you are,
7 seconds, permanent delay.
That's just a.
But anyway, I like that. It's
so
interesting.
Who were his Carolina guys you had an issue with? I mean, Jordan won.
Yeah.
Right. Was it James Worthy?
Worthy was there.
Okay.
Antoine Jameson and Vince Carter and Tyler Hansbrough.
Hansbrough I get because he was hugely productive and he got a championship.
He won a ton.
Yes. I get Hansbrough. Jameson and Carter, for as good as they were and how good as they were in the NBA.
Vince Carter was 5. I just don't know, like, could I talk and not have, like, Brad Daugherty?
That's the thing. Brad Daugherty was better at Carolina than either of those two guys.
Sam Perkins was incredible.
Yeah, Sam Perkins should be on that list.
But, somebody's got to get left off. I just thought the recency.
Well,
but then he would go like Marquette and some of these teams, and he didn't go recent.
It sounds like
he used Milt Wagner and Purvis at Louisville. So he kind of fluctuated. I'm going to find him because it'll come up on.
Wrap up the show. Coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here on a Wednesday on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're on KFOR in Lincoln, as well as streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
I found the TikTok user.
You did, yeah. You'll have to send me the
Top, the TikTok user is top 5 lists.
Top 5 lists.
Yeah, there's some great debates.
There are, and that's, I mean, when you know, what did I name? I named 7 or 8 Creighton players. I wouldn't be mad at any 5 of them. You know, it's kind of funny that we ended up talking about top 5s because randomly last night, I have no idea what the context was. One of my buddies from college texts me and says, "Who are your top 5 NBA players of all time?" It's like 10:30 at night. I'm trying to fall asleep. But I had to answer him, right? Because, you know, and so it's sort of funny that we ended up on this because I didn't plan to talk about top 5 anything today. Of course, we didn't get to anything that I planned to talk about today, but that's okay. We'll talk about the Super Bowl at some point, probably.
Well, by then it's just going to be it's not even going to be super anymore.
It's just going to be regular football topics.
Yeah.
But on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline, we got Kirk. He's got a story, I think, because he messaged me. He's got a story about, I think, meeting Clint Eastwood.
No way.
Kirk, what do you got? Or Kurt, sorry.
Hey,
Kirk, what's up?
Hey, Damon, I got a Clint Eastwood story for you.
All right, talk to me.
Now, after I got out of the military, I moved to California to work as a contractor. And my girlfriend and I are down in Monterey. We're in a convenience store. And she's like, hey, that's Clint Eastwood. And I'm like, oh, no way. That's not Clint Eastwood. And this dude in front of us, checkout line, turns around and goes, yes, I'm Clint Eastwood. just
Deadpan straight face.
Just as cool as a cucumber. So we start talking and everything. We talked for about 5 minutes. And he goes, oh, well, what brings you here? I said, well, we're just tourists, but I live up in Mountain View. I'm a contractor. I just got out of the Air Force, and I'm working up here. He goes, well, thank you for your service. And he goes, well, heck, it's almost lunchtime. Would you guys like to join me for lunch?
No way.
And I'm sitting there eating lunch with this dude and trying to be cool and everything. And my brain's going, Clint freaking Eastwood just bought you lunch.
Do military guys know how to not fanboy? You guys are so good with your emotions.
Well, he is just the most humble, down to earth. If you didn't know who the freak he was, you'd think he's some farmer from Central Nebraska.
Just some old dude out buying lunch.
I appreciate the story, man.
This was 2006, so it was still, he wasn't that old. But also, one other thing, totally different subject. Super Bowl's been covered up by all the drama with Kelsey and Reed and Taylor Swift and all that. But what hasn't been brought up, I haven't read too much, is how the Chiefs adjusted at halftime to Greenlaw being out.
Yeah.
He's a really good cover backer.
Mm-hmm.
So his sub is not as good in coverage. So the cross the formation, touchdown, and he's being covered by a backer.
Yeah. You need to be able to he should do my job.
Kurt,
that's actually pretty good, man. Appreciate it.
Well, I've been coaching high school ball for a while, but Damon, you and I have talked before about Kevin Kelly, the coach that doesn't punt.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got into that whole analytics talk, and nice, right. Good. I appreciate you listening, man.
He got another high school gig now at a public school down in South Arkansas. Let's see how he can do at a public school where they don't recruit as much as they did at a private school. But he
man after my own heart.
He's the guy that was at Presbyterian.
I appreciate the call.
Right?
I liked him more with everything he said. He just kept going,
kept piling on. Kurt, we appreciate the call on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline.
So if you guys actually sat down and had dinner or lunch or breakfast with Clint Eastwood, what would you actually talk to him about?
I don't know. Like, I would pick a couple of guys before him.
Yeah, I'm not enamored with Clint Eastwood. Like,
I love his movies. Like, I don't know anything about the only thing that he did that I watched that I didn't like, but it won all of the awards. So DB has terrible taste, but I was not a big $1 Million Baby guy.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, it's fine. I watched it one time.
I can't. It's too
a one-time watch.
It's too much.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't dislike Clint Eastwood. I'm not a huge Clint Eastwood guy. There's definitely people I'd pick before him, but it would be super cool just to randomly. I mean, that's an awesome story.
Just to go to lunch?
Yeah, well, and not just that, but the way he introduced it, it's like, yep, this is Clint Eastwood. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, man.
I
remember that.
Cool
Shane, do you remember when so I don't know if he messaged me on social media or he actually called in. I was with is a different time in my life.
Yeah.
So this was some years ago.
Yeah.
That he was talking to me about.
Well, he found me, and I've been messaging him back and forth a little
good.
bit.
He's smart. It makes sense now.
And he said he was going to call in, and so I shot him the number, and then he just called.
It totally makes sense because
He's talking about the guy that was at Presbyterian, right?
Yeah,
for like a year.
And I remember the topic because I was talking about how I can't stand how analytics is starting to creep into football. This is how long ago this was.
You were out on the analytics. You're the
That's all they talk about now. So this was early. This was probably like
We got to be going 10 years ago.
7. Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Like 2016, 2017.
It was like, it was, and now it's everywhere.
Before you and I were friends.
Yeah. Before it ruined the NBA and college basketball and
baseball.
I'm so over it in baseball. But I'm not going to be a curmudgeon about baseball because the rules are starting to come back.
Yeah, they're trying to fix it.
Yeah.
They're trying to fix it a little bit.
And
I think they'll start to try and fix it in basketball too. I do. I think they're going to make it a little easier to defend. JJ Redick, JJ Redick and Ryan Russillo are on this.
I think I like JJ Redick more than most. Are you a JJ Redick?
I like JJ Redick a lot.
I think JJ Redick is fantastic.
Really good.
I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's really, really
People
good.
hate on that guy. Like,
really insightful.
He's legit.
I think he's entertaining as well. I'm a big JJ Redick guy. I'd rather have JJ Redick over like Richard Jefferson any day of the week.
I'm not
a Richard Jeff guy.
I'm not an RJ guy.
I'm not either. But Russillo and JJ Redick are on this kind of crusade to kind of redefine a legal guarding position, because offensive players have found a way to basically cheat code the rules so that the refs have to call certain things defensive fouls that are absolutely not defense or should not be defensive fouls, in the sense that the offense is initiating everything. They're initiating all the contact and they're doing it specifically.
You're not talking about Jalen Brunson. That was a great call. Next question.
No. I'm talking about when you're driving.
Because my man Thibodeau, I thought he would eat the fine. Did you see the? Yeah.
I mean, I think he said as much by saying that as he could have if he had said something else. You know,
and
what
he
I mean?
gets mad about a lot, so it's hard to like.
It's almost more impactful when he doesn't get mad. You're like, uh-oh. Because there's two ways that like really impact you, right? I'm not a yeller, so if I yell, people are like, oh no, what's happening?
Yeah.
And like when I was coaching, not a yeller, right? I'm just not. I'm very like, I'll go up to a guy, I'll talk to him. I was usually the good cop in those situations. Be like, hey, yeah, I'd be the pick him back up guy. If I yelled about something, ears perked up immediately. And then there's the opposite, where guys are yelling all the time. That was my head coach. He'd be yelling all the time. If he went quiet on you, you're like, oh no, we're in deep here. It's like it's like it gets real quiet right before a tornado.
Some TO type stuff.
Yeah, like that gets a little bit freaky there. But
he said like a farmer in Central Nebraska.
Dude, that was killer.
Which reminds
that
me,
was
man,
great.
My
That was like a top 10 call.
That was a great call.
My man Brett, the Zickmans.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming to Omaha.
There we go. Yeah, you said he called yesterday, right? He's visiting.
No, that's a different Brett. That's North Platte Brett.
Oh, you're confusing me. Too many Bretts.
Not Central City Brett.
You got Bretts and Matts all over the place. I don't
If
know.
Zickman was moving to Omaha, oh boy.
I think I would ask Clint about yard care. I mean, because he's really into keeping people off his yard and stuff. So I think he would. I mean, he would probably go for that.
Were you trying to set up this whole thing to make that joke, Shane?
Yep.
So you know who I bet comes back? My man.
Oh, come on!
My
Don't
man.
shake your
My
head.
man,
That was
Colorado
great.
Tim.
Not
Speaking
worth
of
it.
grass,
Not worth it. Not worth it. Oh,
were you saving that?
He was set. That's why he asked us what we would talk about Clint Eastwood at lunch.
actually, in all honesty, I would ask him about what it takes to get not into movies, but what his process is.
I would ask him,
and like the way he does music, because he does like the scoring and that sort of stuff. So I mean, I would go into that.
Yeah, I may be something a
I'd
little
talk-
deeper, like the whole not typecasting thing, like how we got away from the westerns to Dirty Harry, then to $1 Million Baby, to how to hitting a curve.
I would trouble with the curve.
So out of rawhide and all
it
that.
was
how to hit one.
I
You
thought
obviously have trouble with it.
I thought it was. I mean, it's impressive the way he went from actor to filmmaker, right? Like that's a cool transition. My guy Ian texts in talking about when coaches are mad. He goes, he knew he was in trouble when his coach would say his last name correctly. Like if he pronounced his name correctly, he knew he was in it.
Like when your parents use your.
You are in trouble. That's all we have for today. We will probably discuss the Super Bowl at some point this week.
Nope, just a game now.
I still have more questions, DB.
No, I'm with you. I'm gonna humor you.
We're gonna get to them eventually, but another fun show today with my guy DB. We will be back tomorrow here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln.